Welcome to episode 67 of Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And today we are finally talking about a Martin Scorsese directed movie. 67 episodes in, you would think that we would have figured out a way to talk about him, but there's just a shitload of movies to choose from when it comes to the Academy and what movies they've nominated. And the connector here is tomorrow's episode of Sneak Preview. I haven't seen it, but I know you did. Is Paul Schrader written and directed The Card Counter, starring Oscar Isaac, Tiffany Haddish, Ty Sheridan. A movie that's gotten pretty mixed reviews, as most Paul Schrader films do. Paul Schrader, of course, is the man who wrote Taxi Driver, which is arguably the strongest point of the film, is the screenplay and how daunting and scary the dialogue is. It felt like it was time to kind of talk about Schrader, Martin Scorsese. With Schrader, he has only one nomination. It's an absolute crime. He has one nomination for First Reformed from 2017. It makes no sense that he wasn't up for Best Screenplay for Taxi Driver. That's one of those that we look back and just kind of wonder and scratch our heads. So we'll kind of turn our attention to Scorsese and talk about some of his stuff, the movies he's directed. We are going to do a top 5 Martin Scorsese films between Connor and I. Before we get into all that, though, I have to mention a man who passed away this past week, Mr. Michael K. Williams. Most people would know him as Omar Little from The Wire. An absolute TV legend and a guy who anything he popped up in, well, he was just absolutely dynamite, knocked it out of the park. And the kind of this stuff that I've heard and seen on, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, throughout the internet, people fucking loved this guy. I adore him mostly because of that, his famous role in The Wire. I love The Wire. It's probably my favorite TV show, along with Breaking Bad, Sopranos, Twin Peaks. I love all those shows. But The Wire stands kind of in its own category because David Simon's ability to write this just incredible story through 5 seasons and casting a lot of Black people in 2002 for this TV show on HBO, in which you get just all kinds of representation. And at the center of that, I think everyone would point to Michael K. as the guy who just kind of carried the show without even being in every episode. And that's very special to do. A guy who's just robbing people for drugs and money, and would whistle the farmer in the dale when he was about to kill somebody. Just his character, he's gay. He's unbelievable. The way that they wrote that and the way that Michael K. portrayed it on screen in 2002 is just bonkers. And we're going to miss him a lot. He's 54 years old. Just definitely too soon. Was battling some drug addiction stuff for quite some time. And it finally kind of snatched him from us. And it's just, for me, it's just been a week of, of course, we're talking about Taxi Driver here, and we're talking Scorsese, but I had to kind of turn my head to Michael K. and watch YouTube clips from The Wire and Boardwalk Empire, the night of, and he's just lights out, dude. And we're gonna miss him a lot.
Yeah, this was a shock. I've yet to watch The Wire. Regrettably, it's one of those things that just passed me by that I keep meaning to go back to. But I did watch the bulk of Boardwalk Empire, and I do remember him as Chalky White. And
yeah,
him just going toe to toe with Buscemi was a treat. And yeah, he was a rare talent who, again, thanks to drugs, is gone too soon. and it's a fucking shame.
Yeah, it really sucks. If he was an Oscar nominated guy, I would have made this whole episode about him.
Yeah,
he's really that special, but he really is. TV is where he's gonna be remembered. He's in the Hall of Fame. I think him and James Gandolfini are like right there at the top of guys who gave us just unforgettable characters. Unforgettable. And Omar is the fucking man. I can't wait for you to see The Wire. You're gonna love it. He's the man. And I love the kind of outpour that we've gotten from people who are just like, this guy was the best to work with. He was as real as it gets. Lupita Nyong'o shared a really cool story about when she first met him and how they would send each other text messages and stuff like through, oh, hey, you did really good in this movie. You did really good in this show. Da, da, da. People doing that constantly. It was as if he kept up with everybody. Like he had time for everyone. And that just gives you chills just thinking about a guy who is just like in love. He's a fan. He's a fan first. And my favorite thing I've seen since his passing was this little video that Criterion put up on their Instagram of him in the famous closet where all the movies are, all the Criterion edition DVDs, Blu-rays. It's just kind of a dreamland for movie lovers. And he goes into the closet and he just looks like a little kid. He's grabbing Gamora, Dazed and Confused, these different films. And he's like, oh man, like I can't wait to get home and watch these. And he picks up Hunger from 2008, Steve McQueen's directorial debut. And he's like, I haven't seen this. I can't wait to get to it. He grabs Modern Times, Charlie Chaplin, and he starts fucking miming like he's Charlie Chaplin. Like he's just a fan first. And when you learn that about somebody after they pass, it just makes you fall in love with them more. So yeah, had to shout him out before we get going here. Probably going to give him another shout tomorrow and sneak preview just because he deserves it. He's the fucking man. Would have been really cool as a guy in one of these later Scorsese movies. If he would have been in The Departed or some shit, like he could just fit in any fucking setting. He'll just figure it out. Love that guy. Could talk about him forever, but we do have a lot to get to here. Taxi Driver, 1976, nominated for 4 Oscars at the 49th Academy Awards. To me, it's a through and through masterpiece. One of the better character study films that I can think of, and one of the best New York movies I can think of, and one of the best De Niro performances I can think of. One of the best Scorsese movies, all the above. It just kind of checks all the boxes. I will admit it's not for everybody. It's not something that everybody's just going to enjoy and just throw on a random Tuesday night. but it is for me. It really is one of those just I'm in. If it's on TV, I'm going to stop and watch it. If someone is like, hey, have you seen Taxi Driver? I'm going to have a lot to say about it. So to do this first for Scorsese on Oscar Sunday just kind of makes sense to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. You talking to me? I had to. At least once I had to.
Yeah, I'm glad. I teed you up. I'm glad you took it.
Yeah, this was, it took me, as a Scorsese fan, which I've been for most of my life, it took me way, way too long to finally sit down and watch Taxi Driver, which happened, I think, last year. And
probably, if I'm not mistaken, because I know you're a big fan of King of Comedy, Taxi Driver and King of Comedy is Joker from 2019. So
that's what it was. It was 2019. We were going to do the bonus episode on Joker. And before we were going to record, you texted me, was like, dude, you need to watch Taxi Driver. We can't do this properly unless you watch Taxi Driver. And I'm like, oh, all right. And you were right. Yeah. You combine both those movies and you put it in Gotham City. It's fucking Joker. And
exactly.
That's why I think that movie probably shouldn't have gotten, a screenplay nod, frankly. But, whatever. But it is a great character study. It's a brilliant look into New York in the 70s, which was just so fucked. I looked it up before we were recording. This was made in the midst of the Son of Sam murders, which plagued New York City. Yeah, I think that, without I'm sure that, Berkowitz, the son of Sam, in some way inspired this movie. Travis has very much the same kind of, I'm going to plague people of New York City. He has the same kind of gun, the giant ass Magnum. I don't know, just speculation, but overall, this film is, kind of necessary viewing for cinephiles and for obviously, Scorsese, De Niro fans. This is one of those you can't really skip if you're going to be, like if you're going to have an Oscar podcast. This is one of those movies you're inevitably going to have to talk about. And here we are.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is for so many different reasons. It again checks so many different boxes, so many different categories for cinephiles, for Scorsese fans, for De Niro fans, for Oscar fans, for all these different things, for fucking Jodie Foster fans, for New York City film fans. It just is essential. And to do it on the show is really cool. There's plenty of Scorsese movies we will get to on this show. We have done on Filmgazm, we did Shutter Island.
Yes, we did.
We did Gangs of New York.
Yes, we did.
And I want to say that's it.
Yeah, Gangs is one I would very much like to move over to this show and do it properly.
We will. I mean, you could make an argument that that's Daniel Day-Lewis's best performance. Just fucking frightening. Bill the Butcher is the fucking man. And it's cool to see them two work together at that time, 2002, with Leo kind of on the rise to just super stardom. It's just really cool to look back and watch Gangs of New York with all that context. But on this show, when we're doing this, we know we're going to give awards out to the main film, which is Taxi Driver here. We know we're going to give awards out to it. We're going to go through some 49th Academy Award stuff, like Paul Schrader fucking missing out on the screenplay. Makes no sense. Really cool Best Picture group. Really cool. We did an episode on Rocky for episode 3 of this show. And I've just got a lot more to say about 1976 now than I did then. It was like a year and a half ago. So this is going to be a fun one. Buckle up. It's going to be long. It's going to be filled with nasty shit, because a lot of Scorsese movies are filled with nasty shit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yes. And, we're coming up. This is 67, right?
Yeah.
We've done a lot of random Oscar films, a lot of experimenting. There's so many favorites in both of our heads that we just have not yet done. And the way I see it is, if you're given, free reign, a shopping spree in a candy store, and you love M&Ms, you're going to be like, yeah, I got my M&Ms here, but I also want to try all this cool shit that I've never gotten to do. And that's kind of what we've been doing. Like, yeah, we've got our favorites here. We'll talk about them, but we also want to kind of stretch our legs a little bit.
Yeah, we also want to do Places in the Heart.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this show, is because the Academy has, for as silly as it is and as much shit as it gets, it has nominated so many films, so many filmmakers, so many actors and cinematographers and composers, that it's like, it just is overwhelming, the amount of stuff we can choose from. It is very fun to connect these films to what's happening now, because the history of film is present always. It's always present, is always here. Just like we were saying, Taxi Driver, if you watch Taxi Driver and Joker, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, and that's, 76 to 2019, that's just decades of stuff in between. And this film still gets parodied, gets copied, all the above, still to this day, and will continue to forever. It's that kind of a movie. And so I'm very excited to kind of center this episode around it. But I want to start with the top fives. I want to do the top fives. I want to look at some individuals that worked on Taxi Driver that have been nominated. I want to look at the 49th Academy Awards. Then I want to do our awards. So let's just dive into this. Picking 5 Scorsese movies is very difficult. The guy, I said this to you before we started recording. I think him, along with some guys you pointed out, Spielberg, his buddies, Spielberg, Lucas, these guys. Scorsese might be the most important American filmmaker of all time. He has an argument. There's a debate that could happen. I think Spielberg might be just a bit ahead of him, might be. But Scorsese, I mean, he's still just kicking ass. Like a lot of people really dug The Irishman. The new movie he's doing, what's it fucking called?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, fucking Jesse Plemons is going to be in it. Like I'm real excited for that one. It's cool to see guys that have never appeared in his movies kind of appear now and become a part of his filmography. And so he's like 80 years old and still just fucking rocking and rolling. So it's never ending with him. And I see, when I look at my Letterboxd and I look at my organized Scorsese films from, the 5-star ones to the 4, the 3.5, the 3s, there's about 12 that I genuinely like, that I want to own them. I want to watch them more than once. For a guy to have that many movies that you care about, that you want to put on your shelf, I mean, that's more than most filmmakers get to. Like way more. Some of our very favorite guys, my favorite director of all time, Paul Thomas Anderson, doesn't even have 12. Tarantino doesn't even have 12 movies. There's people that can't even reach that, because it's fucking hard to make a good movie. and Scorsese has done it through 6-7 decades now. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, very few directors can crank out masterpieces like he does. It's kind of amazing. And not only that, but to assemble the ensemble and like that's constantly growing, the people who gravitate towards him, the performances he can bring out in so many fantastic actors. It's a gem. Very few filmmakers. I think it's just Scorsese and Anderson that have worked with Daniel Day-Lewis more than once. I think that actually does sound right. Off the top of my head, I think you're correct, and that's crazy. It's amazing. Yeah, what he did for De Niro's career, what he did for DiCaprio's career, Harvey Keitel, Jodie Foster, these people that came up partially because of him. I think, that's a big thing to look at when you consider Scorsese as maybe the greatest American director of all time. It's the influence he had on the performers and the people he brought into his crew and the places they went. That is more, I think that's crucial.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. The way I want to do this is obviously we'll start with 5, go down to 1. I'll let you kick us off. I'm fucking excited to hear how you have them ordered. I have my guesses for what you got. I know you have your guesses for mine, but it's always fun to see where they land. So you go ahead, man. You go ahead and kick us off with your number 5.
So to prep for this, I tried my hardest to watch everything of Scorsese's I had not yet seen, and that was quite a tall list.
Yes.
I managed to cram 11 movies into this past week, which was not easy. And I came up too short, regrettably. New York was way too fucking long. I've still got an hour left in that. And then Kundun, which I had to track down on YouTube, I've got about 2 hours left in that. So I did my best.
Yeah. A valiant effort, my friend. Luckily, with Scorsese, my older brother, Jeremy, God bless him, he was obsessed with him when he was in his late high school years, junior, senior year. He was starting to buy his movies and starting to be like, okay, this guy's making all of these. This is the guy who made Mean Streets and The Departed. Okay. He's putting that together and he was buying them, and he had Taxi Driver. I definitely watched it. I think you need to be of a certain age to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And I think I watched it in middle school. I was too young. I was too young to watch this. I had no idea what I was seeing. I had no context. I didn't quite know the power of De Niro, but I was exposed to a lot of Scorsese movies. He even had a collection of random stuff like Boxcar Bertha and New York, those kind of after hours, stuff like that. That's not as well known Scorsese, but it's a tall order no matter what to kind of tackle a filmography like his.
Yeah. And just to give you all some perspective, these are the films that I watched for the first time this week.
Okay.
Who's That Knocking at My Door? Boxcar Bertha, Mean Streets, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, The Last Waltz, The Color of Money, The Last Temptation of Christ, The Age of Innocence, and Bringing Out the Dead.
Jesus. Some good ones and some bad ones.
And spoiler alert, none of those are on my top 5. You were right.
I figured. I know you're big on seeing a movie a couple times to really let it kind of just take your heart and put it into a top 5 that's kind of sacred like this, you know. I'm all these movies that I have, I've seen well over 2 times, well over 3 times. You know, they're movies I've seen over and over and over.
Definitely. And my number 5 is Taxi Driver.
Beautiful. That's perfect. I love it.
It's hard to argue with, everyone who said for, 30 plus years that this is one of the most important American films of all time. It's true. It is a great movie. It's a fucked up movie and a disturbing movie, but it is a great movie. It's an amazing character study. De Niro is lights out, shows, I think, the mid 70s to the late 80s really show how fucking incredible De Niro is with Scorsese. That combo may be the greatest actor-director pair up ever. Just what they brought out in each other is gold.
Yep.
And I know we'll get into it. Obviously, I don't want to spoil all my thoughts for Taxi Driver at the bat, but number 5.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head with De Niro and Scorsese finding each other at the right time. De Niro had just played Corleone in fucking Godfather Part 2 in 74. And then he's playing Travis Bickle, 26-year-old psychopath. Like, what? Like, who is this fucker? Like, this De Niro is... We've talked a lot about different people, and we talked a lot about De Niro when we did our Awakenings episode. Like, this guy could be the GOAT. He could be, in this era, he is the GOAT. Like, he is the end-all, be-all. This is the guy you want in your movie if you're making a seriously good film. I mean, just what happens after. I don't want to spoil your list, maybe that you have stuff, but I mean, what he does in 1980, what he does in 1982. Like, are you fucking kidding me? It's just crazy. And for him to switch to DiCaprio, to go from De Niro to DiCaprio is like, what? How lucky can you get?
It still blows my mind that Travis Bickle, Jake LaMotta, and Rupert Pupkin are played by the same man.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
Insane. And then he, does shit like Meet the Parents later on in his career. What? Who is this guy? It's crazy. It's really bonkers. I love that Taxi Driver's in your 5. Of course it's in mine, but it's not my number 5. My number 5 is a little film from 2013 called Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street, I've probably seen, I have seen it more than any other Scorsese movie. And I have to give a lot of that credit to my fiance, Brianna. She loves it. It's a movie we just put on, like when we just need to feel like we would just want to fucking laugh and have a good time. Wolf of Wall Street features maybe Leo's best performance, just absolutely off the wall the whole time. Jonah Hill is unbelievable in it. Guys like John Barenthal are unbelievable in it. I could watch it all day. I have my nitpicks with it. Also, Margot Robbie coming on the scene, like, just shatters everybody's world. Holy hell, who is this? The soundtrack is very odd in Wolf of Wall Street, and at times, like, there's an overhead shot of their yacht, and Foo Fighters is playing. I think Scorsese a little out of touch with what's really going on in culture at that time, but I'll put all that to the side. This film is endlessly entertaining, and the whole 3 hours, it will grab you by the balls. It will pull you in, and you have nowhere to go. You're just like, holy shit, what are these guys going to get into next? They're taking lewds, they're doing coke off strippers' asses. Like, it's just fucking crazy. It is crazy. And this is Scorsese, 40 years after Taxi Driver, like, what? This guy still has that in him to just be nasty, raunchy, wild, off the wall. And I have so much respect for Wolf of Wall Street. as time goes on, I like it more and more. Has to be in my top 5 because I've just seen it so many times. I can watch it all day. It's one of those, if it just like Taxi Driver, if it's on TV, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna figure out where it is and I'm gonna watch it and be like, oh yeah, this is the cerebral palsy scene, like, oh yeah, I love it. I love it so much. And I really do think DiCaprio, I think it's probably my second favorite performance of his behind Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Leo is obviously a very, very special guy, massively important to just film in general, and his efforts as Jordan Belfort. I rewatched the scene just for fun today when him and Jonah Hill, when they smoke crack. Jonah Hill's like, smoke this fucking crack with me, come on, and Leo's like, oh, one hit, and then he takes the hit and he's like, ah. And then he grabs him by the shirt and he's like, we got to get out of here. We got to run like lions, tigers, and bears. I have so much fun with this movie, and it's got to be in my top 5 for that reason. If you ask me a month from now, this might all change.
Yeah. That's fucking beautiful. I'm glad one of us had that. It's been a minute since I saw The Wolf of Wall Street. It's one of my most like bizarre theater experiences ever. I think I talked about this when we did the Gilbert Grape episode where I brought a friend and I was like, Leo starts snorting coke out of a stripper's asshole. And I'm like right away. Yeah. 2 minutes into the movie, that's happening. Yeah. I'm like, shit. And I look at her and she looks at me and she goes, this is fucking awesome. And I'm like, yeah, thank you so much. We're going to have a good time. Yeah.
This is cinema. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I saw it with my dad. And there were a couple times where I looked at him, I was 18 and he's just smiling because he's like, oh God, like this is going to open up a whole different imagination for my son. Holy shit. Send in the strippies. It's just bonkers. And then of course, seeing Jonah Hill go from the, accepted and super bad and just being this kind of wacky, chubby guy to getting the Oscar nomination for Moneyball. And then combining the two to just be fucking hilarious, but like locked in the whole time. Yeah. I love this movie, and I have to have it here. It means a lot of serious ass movies get cut out that I really like, but I can't deny the entertainment value of Wolfie. I ain't going nowhere. He's smashing his head. And Steve Madden.
And how many times do you say you've seen this?
At least 15. Yeah, at least.
Oh, you got to crunch those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah. Man, fucking Matthew McConaughey brings in a heat check performance. Obviously, Fugazi, it's a wizzy, it's a, it's all of that shit is just perfect. It's just perfect. And Spike Jonze is in it. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just really something special. And if you haven't seen it in a while, rewatch it, try it again, because I know it's got its issues. It's got its kind of plot issues, and again, I think the soundtrack is a big part of why people complain about it. It's just like, what the hell, especially compared to his early stuff where the music's on point, and it's just perfect. But yeah, man, I love it. I could talk about it all day, but we got to get to your number 4.
My number 4 is an oddball that took me forever to track down and features just one of the weirdest stories I've ever seen in film. And it is 1982's The King of Comedy.
Yes. Your number 4 and number 5 are Joker.
Yeah. It's such an odd tale about an aspiring comedian who is so obsessed with getting just a shot at the big time that he kidnaps a popular talk show host and ransoms him for in exchange for airtime. And it is so crazy. You don't really know. There's times where you're not sure if you're just in this guy's head or if this is really happening. And it's De Niro as we've never seen him before up to there. He was and at that point he was known for basically Taxi Driver and Godfather 2 and just these hardcore like alpha male monsters. And then he goes and plays this goofy, I want to be a comedian, kind of like weird little guy. And it's just so bizarre to see him and Jerry Lewis, of all people, trade barbs. And I love that. I was told that Scorsese approached Johnny Carson for this. And he said no, because it was, quote, too real.
There you go.
And it also has one of my all-time favorite movie quotes. And it's when Rupert Pupkin finally gets his shot, gets to do his set on the Jerry Show. And he says, better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime. Like, beautiful. And then he goes to prison and becomes famous.
Yeah.
It's a fucking like wild ride down the rabbit hole, that movie, but it's so entertaining.
Oh man. I knew you'd have that. I know how important that movie is to you. And isn't it funny to look at 1982? You got something like this that represents something so interesting, and then Escape from New York.
That was 81.
81,
Yeah.
81, sorry.
82
was
is
82.
The thing is 82,
yeah.
And also like Poltergeist and E.T. and just 82 was a great year for film.
Yeah. I think Escape from New York is like the culmination of New York is fucked.
Yeah. That if New York in the 70s, if it hadn't been cleaned up, that's exactly where it was fucking going.
Oh man, I love it. I know the 80s are uber important to you, in a decade that just churned out some crazy shit. Yeah, I'm glad that's on there for you. I think you'll be surprised here at my number 4. And I wanted to recommend it to you for Scorsese, but it is a very unique Scorsese. It's a very very different thing than he's ever done. It's a 3-hour plus documentary on Bob Dylan called No Direction Home. And you know me, I'm a very, very, very big Bob Dylan fan. And this is really why. This 2005 documentary that came out about Dylan in the mid 60s, when he's at the very peak of his fame, and directed by Scorsese, who's just as big of a music fan as he is movie. And when I saw this, I didn't know it was Scorsese. It was a Scorsese picture. I didn't know it was something with his touch on it. But now when I watch it, I very much realize, holy shit, Scorsese is probably the only guy who could really do this, and who could really shine a light on something he loves so much. I will be kind of talking more about music in a little bit, so I'm going to kind of leave it short. But Bob Dylan in the mid 60s, 65, Highway 61 Revisited, of course, just this crazy album where he goes electric, he goes fucking rock and roll. And, No Direction Home is, of course, from the song Like a Rolling Stone, one of the greatest American songs ever written, and probably my favorite solo artist of all time. I know that's not a very uncommon answer for people, but I really do adore Bob Dylan's work. And to see it, Dylan was a very secretive guy. He didn't want to sign autographs. He didn't want to take pictures. He didn't want to have that part of fame. So to see him behind the scenes in the studio performing, talking to his friends, talking to Allen Ginsberg, that stuff is very, very special. And I really do think only Scorsese could have done it the right way and actually make it entertaining for the whole 3 hours. Highly suggest this movie. I know for your project, you were trying to knock out as much stuff as you could. And I felt like I didn't want to ruin my top 5. And I also didn't want to tell you, hey man, you got to make sure you have time for this 3-hour documentary on Bob Dylan.
Well, I appreciate that, because IMDb says this movie is 6 hours long.
That must be, I mean, the version I have that I own is 208 minutes. I know that. So I'm not sure. Maybe there's like a longer version. That's all I've seen, the one I own.
Yeah, the one on IMDb says, Martin Scorsese, No Direction Home, 5 hours and 59 minutes long. Maybe you've got like the abridged version or something.
Yeah, I must have. I got it from my friend Jacob Adame back in, I don't know, when I was in middle school or high school. He was a huge fan, and he gave it to me kind of as a gift. And yeah, I had the case right over here to kind of look at that. I should obviously check out, see what else I've been missing. But it can't. It's got to be just more Dylan screaming at people. Come on, come on, come on, come on! Fucking Bob Dylan, man, wearing Ray-Bans inside. Yeah.
Well, I like Bob Dylan. I don't adore Bob Dylan, so there's a good to fair chance I will never watch this. I trust your judgment, but I draw the
Totally
line
fair.
at 3.5 hour documentaries.
Yeah, that's totally fair, man. I that's exactly why I wasn't like, oh, get to this, dude, because you had 11 other movies to get to.
Damn. Yeah, I was not expecting that. I've never heard of that. So well done.
Yeah. I mean, God, Bob, fucking Robert Zimmerman, he's my guy. I really do love him. So, I think it's broken up into 2 different parts, and I just haven't seen the second part.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, you've got probably part 1.
That must be it. Fucking Jacob gave me part 1 and not part 2. Bastard. I miss that guy. I love that guy. I haven't seen him in a long time. I used to live with him in Kyle, Texas, and we would stay up all night listening to fucking, Neil Young, Bob Dylan, those kind of guys, and we would just stay up drinking PBR all night, smoking some grass, and just listening to these old school guys. So I miss those days a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's great. Well, now you have a new goal. Find part 2.
I see. It was originally I probably should have done this research. It was originally something on American Masters. I guess it's like a TV series.
Mm-hmm.
And it must be like 2 different episodes. That makes a lot of sense because it's 6 hours.
They're never going to air anything on TV that's 6 hours.
Exactly. There you go.
Cool. Well, good. I wish you the best of luck in tracking down part 2.
I will find it. Obviously, it's in my top 5, so I should go ahead and finish off the proper top 5 by watching the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. That's a good idea.
What's your number 3? Oh, this is fun.
So my top 3 have been set in stone for nearly my entire life. So here we go.
Okay, this is good.
If you know me at all, you know exactly what these films are.
I do. I just don't know exactly where they land. Yeah. Number
3 is the 2002 epic Gangs of New York.
Yes.
Scorsese managed to coax Daniel Day-Lewis out of his first retirement with this brilliant, evil, sadistic gangster, Bill the Butcher Cutting. It is one of the coolest revenge tales I've ever seen. It shines a light on a very little known time in American history, like right before the Civil War. Just New York, again, all fucked up. New York's been fucked for centuries. Just a place that was run by the gangs where, the knife was law, and a lot of it's accurate. Bill the Butcher was a real man who might not have been as much of a sadist as DDL plays him as, but it's still such a fun movie. It's one of those films that's nearly 3 hours, but you don't feel it, which is my favorite kind of movie. And it's just such a great, you get engrossed in it. I love Leo's character. I love the bit parts from Liam Neeson and Brendan Gleeson and John C. Reilly. And just, there's a vibe to this film that no other movie has. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels like I'm seeing a window into the 1850s. And I think that the fact that this didn't score anything at the Oscars is fucking criminal. I love Adrian Brody and The Pianist, but he took this away from Daniel Day-Lewis. And this should have been all over the Oscars. This should have been drowning in gold. But no. And that was just, kind of the way of the law of the land for so long for Scorsese. He almost got it so many times, but he just had to keep making, masterpiece after masterpiece to prove that he still deserved it. And eventually he did win, which is great. But by the time he won, he should have had like 3 or 4 statues. Gangs of New York, such a fun movie. I watch it every 4th of July now.
That's so cool. There's movies that you can apply to, certain holidays, and you choose Gangs for fucking.
Yeah. Well, I love the dialogue. It's got one of my favorite character introduction moments when Bill the Butcher first meets Amsterdam Vallon, and he introduces himself and he goes, "You're Amsterdam? Well, I'm New York."
Yeah.
Fuck,
perfect.
God.
And the quote, I'll teach you to speak fucking English with this knife. That's like, or with this fucking knife is like, yeah, that's one of the best villain things ever said.
The fact that Daniel Day-Lewis actually tapped a fake eye cap with a fucking knife. No one has dedication like he does. Like, it's not acting for him. It's transforming. He really does, except for The Age of Innocence. Not a fan of that one. But every other time, he's really just poured himself into a mold and lived it. It's really remarkable. And every time I see a performance of his, no matter how many times I've seen said performance, it blows me the fuck away.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. God, Gangs is awesome. I agree with you. I think it's one of the stronger films from 2002. My only issue with it, and this is something that's going to get brought up with Scorsese, is a lot of his female characters are just either just like misrepresented completely or poorly written, poorly done. Yeah. And Cameron Diaz in this film is like,
she is the one piece of that film that keeps it from a 10 for me. It really, she's miscast. The character is kind of pointless.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And that's just a thing. Scorsese, one thing I noticed, with watching all of his films, is he's really, really not that great at writing women or directing women. All of the women in his films are really poor characters. And we'll get to that. But
yeah. I think, you can look at the film we're talking about today and you're just like, holy shit. Gangs was awesome, man. Very long movie, but very well worth anybody's time. John C. Reilly, fantastic. Liam Neeson at the very beginning of the film, fantastic. Every little touch like that is really good.
Well, the opener just with the fucking gang battle, the natives versus the dead rabbits. It immediately sets a tone for this fucking epic that you're about to watch. You're like, is this Braveheart in America? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. It's, and I love stuff like, when they're talking about how they're going to fight and he's like, no guns. And he's a good boy.
Well, I love that it showcases the fucking voting riots, which is crazy. Or I think it was the voting riots or the race riots. It was one of many American riots. And it was about the draft in the 1860s for the Civil War. Rich people could buy out. If you were rich enough, you could buy like a card that says, I don't have to fight. And the poor were like, fuck that. And there was a riot. A lot of people died. A lot of the U.S. military opened fire on American citizens. Shit got ugly.
Yeah.
And I never was taught that in school.
No,
and this movie taught me about that, and I was blown away.
Yeah, Scorsese definitely likes to do that. His filmography, you can look at him trying to shine a light on shitty parts of America and saying, "Hey, you're not going to learn this in the books because they're scared to teach you this stuff because it's going to make you feel a certain way about your country when you're 14, 15 years old and super impressionable." And you watch something like this, you're like, is this true? Sure enough, it is. Sure enough, it is. And again, to get DDL and Leo to go head to head, sign me up. Sign me up all fucking day. Great pick, man. I love it. So that's your number 3.
Yes.
Oh, man. Well, my number 3, I know is coming on yours. I think this is for everyone, for anyone who doesn't really even care about Scorsese's filmography. This is the one that is his masterpiece. It's his movie, his most important movie, his most seen movie, and that's 1990's Goodfellas. I don't even know what to say about it. It's just perfect, rewatchable as hell. Should have won Best Picture against Dances with Wolves, obviously. One of the all-time snipes. One of the all-time "what the fuck were you doing" type things. It's at the very top of that list. They did that 2 years in a row. They could have given Best Picture to Do the Right Thing and Goodfellas, 89 and 90. Instead, they give it to Driving Miss Daisy and Dances with Wolves. Thank God they followed that up with Silence of the Lambs and Unforgiven because they really fucked up the 2 years before. Goodfellas is a movie I've seen a lot of times. It's the one that I think people just know. They just know. Even if they don't know Scorsese, they don't know De Niro, Pesci, Liotta, all these guys. They know what Goodfellas is, and they know what it represents. They know that it's kind of in that rare territory of best gangster movie of all time. You know, it's in that category. It's in that conversation. It really is right there with like The Godfather. You know, it is just perfect. It's just a perfect movie. I have nothing really bad to say about it. You know, you can't really find anything in Goodfellas that's like, oh, that was poorly done. It's fucking funny at times, like really fucking funny, super violent, super gritty. And it has one of the most iconic quotes of all time, ever since I can remember. You know, I always wanted to be a gangster. It just, yeah, everyone knows that shit, you know? Everyone knows what that is and what it means and how important it is to cinema. And it's just a perfect movie. Gotta have it in my top 5.
Did you say Goodfellas was funny? Funny how? Like a clown? Like it's there to amuse you?
You're a funny guy. Yeah. I love how in Taxi Driver, Harvey Keitel says, "You're a funny guy." He tells him, "Fucking cop."
I will hold myself back from talking about Goodfellas for now.
I know.
3 though, damn, your top 2 must be just beautiful.
Just more. Goodfellas to me is his overall best movie. I like a couple others, obviously, better for me and for my fandom and what I really, really care about. But if you're going to just show somebody a Scorsese movie, this is it. This is it. And you don't even need to because they've already fucking seen it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. So Scorsese, in some circles, the king of gangster films. That's not a hot take. The guy knows how to make a good crime drama. And my number 2 is the only one that comes close to rivaling Goodfellas, and that is 2006's The Departed.
Yes. I'm so glad it's getting brought up.
Oh my God, this movie is a blast. I mean, if he was not going to win for Goodfellas, I'm so fucking glad he won for this, because The Departed is so much. Oh God, it's a blast.
Yeah, and when you look at 2006, I mean, I love Little Miss Sunshine, but like, come on, I mean, for a best picture, like Little Miss Sunshine is a very, very cute like indie film with some awesome performances, but like Departed is a epic cop gangster, all these things, you know, conspiracy, all of the above, with Leo and Matt Damon and Jack Nicholson and fucking Alec Baldwin and Mark Wahlberg. Like, come on. It totally deserved best picture.
Nobody says cocksucker like the Bostons do. I mean, Jesus Christ. This movie is so over the top at times. I mean, just, you know, Jack with a fucking giant dildo. I mean, okay, sure.
Fuck yeah.
Who's going to say no to Jack Nicholson in 2006?
That porno theater looks a lot like the one in Taxi Driver. Tell you what.
And it kind of, you know, brings back a lot of things for Scorsese. It's kind of like, you know, him say, like, if he'd retired after The Departed, it would have made sense. Mm-hmm. It feels like, you know, an epilogue kind of movie. Like, yeah, I made Goodfellas, but, you know, what if it was in Boston? Here you go.
And what if I made one of these sleaze bags a fucking cop, you know? And let's follow him. Yeah. Oh man.
I love seeing, you know, just Matt Damon as a rat, Leo as a rat for very different reasons. Jack as a fucking crime boss. Yes.
And FBI informant. Let's go. Yeah.
Fucking, you know, fake Whitey Bulger, basically. Mm-hmm. Mark Wahlberg is just such a prick, but makes sense. I love when the sting goes wrong because of the fucking cameras, and he's like, "Who the fuck installed the cameras in this place?" And some guy's like, "Yo, who the fuck are you?" He goes, "I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy."
Yeah. And then Alec Baldwin's like, "You fucking cocksucker! You ruined this." and one of my favorite bits is when Leo first goes in to and Mark Wahlberg's like, "How's your father? Tired from fucking my mother?" You know, all that stuff is like like a 12-year-old's dick. All those little lines from Mark Wahlberg are like, God, they're perfect. What the fuck happened to him? Why did his career turn out the way it did? What? Why?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's like he got a little sniff of the box office and being like the top dog, but he's like, oh fuck it, I'm not gonna even try to be anything like good anymore. That sucks because he's that supporting role is one of my favorite supporting roles of all time. The commitment. If we weren't good at our jobs, we'd be cunts. Are you calling us cunts? Like, what? It's just fuck, man. I really wish his career panned out differently. Leo and Matt Damon, they're doing just fine. Jack Nicholson already did all of his shit.
Yeah.
But Marky Mark is like, this is probably his best work. I love him Boogie Nights to death, but that's a pretty amateur type role where he's like, doesn't really know what he's doing half the fucking time, I think other people are holding his hand a lot, Julianne Moore and Burt Reynolds and Paul Thomas Anderson himself. But he is like, he might be the best heat check guy in this movie, Departed. He's so good.
Maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I
love that shit.
I agree with you about Boogie Nights, but I think it adds to the performance because the character also is new to this world and doesn't know what he's fucking doing.
Yeah, that's true. And, you know me. I like adore that movie with everything I have. We did it on this show because I had to talk about it. Paul Thomas Anderson's second film after Heart Aid, just the one that got him onto the scene and how he's able to do Magnolia and Punch Drunk Love and There Will Be Blood and The Master and all the above. But Marky Mark, man, I just will always wonder, why didn't you keep doing this? Like, what the hell? Or I guess movies like The Departed just don't roll around every fucking year.
Well, he became Academy Award nominee Mark Wahlberg with that movie. And then what did he follow that with? The fucking Happening.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big part of it.
Yeah, and then he's the one in like he's the lead in the shitty Transformers movie. Like those decisions hurt you. They hurt your legacy.
I'm supposed to believe Mark Wahlberg is a fucking scientist from Texas.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. From Texas, yeah. Hey dog. Yeah. Like it just doesn't work. But Departed, for you, what's the best performance from that movie? Oh. Is it Marky Mark or do you give it to one of the lead guys?
Fuck. Oh man, that's a tough question.
Cranberry juice. What are you on your period?
There's guys you can hit and there's guys you can't. He's not quite a guy you can't hit, but he's almost a guy you can't hit.
And then, Frenchie's great. And when he gets scoffed at, he just says, huh? What? Boom, boom, just punches the shit out of that guy. Oh, man. That movie is such a ride. Like, it's so much fun. I got to show that to Brianna. It was her first time seeing it. I didn't plan that, Yeah. I'll watch The Departed pretty much any day of the week. It came very close to being my number 5 in this countdown over Wolf of Wall Street. Both of those two are just like, holy shit, they're so much fun. They're such a blast. Yeah. And we were just laughing our asses off. Like, it's hilarious. Like every 10 minutes you're like, oh my God, did he really just say that?
I watch that shit every St. Patrick's Day. It's become like the Irish movie for me. Some people will watch the fucking Matchmaker or Leap Year. I'm watching The Departed. Favorite. All right. Best performance. They're all fucking lights out in that movie. Leo really is playing like the most intense character he's played up to that point. Just a guy who's constantly worried he's going to get fucking brutally murdered by these guys when they find out he's a cop. Matt Damon playing a great, two-faced rat. But
in the middle of Jason Bourne. He does Bourne Ultimatum the year after this in 2007. Like, Matt Damon, underappreciated at this time. Just like, holy shit, the fact that he could go from playing Bourne, this awesome action star, to this shithead cop, like shithead.
And then Leo did this the same year as Blood Diamond.
Yeah, the hell? No wonder that South African accent was a little fucked. Yeah, because he was just, look what he was just doing. Like. He's playing Billy. Like, what, I mean, it makes sense to me.
I gotta, just because it's such a lights out mentor performance. It's fucking Jack. It's got to be Jack. Frank Costello is such a piece of shit, but I would totally believe this guy's the king of Boston.
Yeah, me too.
And just the little things he does, you know, he talks about how, like, you know, he's tired of pussy and things like that. Like, he's just,
but I like
out.
it. Yeah. And from the very beginning, Scorsese's so good at introductions, so goddamn good at introducing characters, putting a song, like a nice piece of the soundtrack right behind it. And when you have, you know, the Rolling Stones, you know, Gimme Shelter playing, and he's like, I don't want to be a product of the environment. I want the environment to be a product of me. What? Like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Oh, that's cinema, man. That's my shit. That's Departed is fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. And then I love, you know, for the opening credits, fucking Dropkick Murphys, I'm shipping up to Boston. Oh, gets you right in the mindset of like, you are about to watch a wild fucking ride. And then at the Oscars to have, you know, Coppola, Lucas, and Spielberg present Best Director to Martin Scorsese, his college buddies.
Bone chilling.
It was so perfect. It was so perfect.
Oh. Yeah. And it has, I love Vera Farmiga in this movie. It's one of the rare female performances where I'm like, hey, she's really kind of going toe to toe with Leo and Matt Damon at times. Martin Sheen. One of the craziest, wildest deaths I've ever seen in a film, when he just drops right in front of Leo and he's like, what the fuck? Ray Winstone as Mr. French. Perfect. Pretty much perfect. Who else is it? Kevin Corrigan as the shitty cousin who's just doing coke the whole time. Perfect, you know.
Fucking Anthony Anderson is in that movie.
Yeah. When him and Leo are training in the academy, and he's like, "You're a black guy in Boston. You're gonna have enough. You know, you're gonna have enough problems." James Badge Dale as the other guy who's like, "You think Costello didn't have somebody else? You know, like, are you kidding me?" And that's at the very end of the movie, and it just kind of shatters your whole world. You're like, "Oh my god, I have no idea. I have no idea what's really going on." You know, there's so much that Costello is doing and has these people in his pockets. Like, man, yeah, it's a borderline masterpiece, man. It is awesome.
Yeah, there were a few films I watched early on in my life where I was like, I'm going to be attached to this director for life. And The Departed is one of those films. I think that and my number one pick, I watched those around the same time and thought, I fucking love this guy.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Well, I mean, what complaints could you have if you see those two? Yeah. We've talked a lot about the quotes from The Departed. Scorsese, a director. He's really a director. That's his main thing. William Monahan is the guy who wrote the screenplay for The Departed. And just, we got it, like, hats off to him. I mean, just brilliant stuff. And if you haven't seen The Departed in a while, just do it. Just do it. You're going to have fun. You're going to have a wild ride. It's really cool to see Leo and Matt Damon. And 15 years later, look at them now. You know, it's just, you know, Matt Damon's going to be in Ridley Scott's new movie. Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be in Adam McKay's new movie. Like, damn, you know, like, these guys just keep killing it. It's cool.
Fantastic. I keep meaning to watch Infernal Affairs, the Chinese, I believe it is, movie that The Departed was based on. It's a trilogy with, I think Tony Leung is in it.
Yeah.
I got to watch those.
Yeah, we really should. Maybe we should try to, like, track those down and do them on Filmgazm or something, just because it's like, it inspires this awesome 2000s epic. So yeah, why not?
If we could do like The Departed on Oscar Sunday and Infernal Affairs on Filmgazm the same week, holy shit.
Yeah. The Departed will one day get its own Best Picture showdown, and I just don't see how we're not going to vote it for the number one. There's just no way. I love Little Miss Sunshine with all of my heart, and it's a personal favorite of mine. But I can't. I can say I like it better as an individual fan. There's no way I can vote it ahead of Departed for Best Picture. It's just not happening.
Yeah, same. It's a decent year for competition, but this film was just gold. And then to have Jack himself announce it as Best Picture that year was beautiful.
Perfect. Yeah, perfection. Yeah, he wants some Coke, and he just throws that shit. Yeah, awesome movie, man. I'm glad you have it on here, because I had a hard time cutting it out. I had a real hard time. I had just watched it too, and I was like, oh man, this is so good. This is such an epic movie. So that's your number 2.
Yes.
All right. My number 2 is the film we're talking about today, Taxi Driver. I'm obsessed. I've been trying to hide it because I knew it was going to come up here. My number 2. There's a reason we're doing this. You know, Paul Schrader is one of my heroes. He's one of the forgotten guys when it comes to this era of filmmaking, and that happens a lot to writers. You know, directors get helmed as this is their film, when in fact, a guy like Schrader, who has this crazy wild touch to his screenplays and crazy wild touch to the movies that he directs, you gotta know, like, who wrote this shit, like who is writing what Travis Bickle is saying. And if you try to do that yourself, you know, if you try to fucking write out the monologue, the little things that he's saying while he's driving his taxi, you just wouldn't be able to do it. You just can't. You can't write that shit. Like, that takes a special kind of person, a different breed. And it's one of my favorite screenplays of all time. You know, Taxi Driver, the things that are said in it, the things that are kind of thought about, the ideas. I got some bad ideas. I love pretty much every second of it. New York City films are very important to me. I love getting to know that city through movies, you know, like John Cassavetes movies. I'm a big fan of that. But Taxi Driver films New York in a way that no one else has. No one else. And with Taxi Driver, every person on the cast and crew, they all took a huge, they were like, I don't need money. I don't need it. We want the budget to be what it needs to be so we can make this movie and make our money back. Well, it was about a $2 million budget, and they made almost $30 million at the box office. Like, hand over fist type shit. Just a practical fucking movie. Super practical. Driving around in a cab, filming De Niro, the biggest star in the world at the time, you know, along with like fucking Hoffman, and I don't even know who else is on that list. You know, Robert Redford. It's just, De Niro is the man of this time. And watching him drive this cab through this city that is in the darkest time that maybe New York has ever seen, is just astonishing. And I could watch it over and over. It's one of those dark films that I feel at home watching. I very much realize how weird that can be to some people who aren't very close to the movie. Yeah. But the people who are close to it, the people who do appreciate it, we have an understanding of that this film's fucking important. It means a lot. It means a lot to the stream of conscience. Like, I don't really know what's going on. Is he dreaming? Is he not? Is he really going through these things? Did he actually serve in the military? What exactly is Travis Bickle's fucking deal? And I obviously, you know, love things that deal with that. You know, throughout time, I've become very attached to movies and shows that operate on a level of, you can't take any of this as truth. You have to, it's gray the whole time. And I love shit like that. And this could be at the peak of those things. You know, it could be the one that you point to, like, holy shit, you know, like this is when it comes to character studies, this is it. This is the Mecca. And I love it. I love it, man. I love it. I love how it's right under 2 hours. I think it's the perfect amount of time. I don't think they should cut anything. I don't think they should add anything. The ending is fucking bonkers, and I love it. I love every second of it. Every performance from De Niro to Jodie Foster to Peter Boyle to Harvey Keitel, everyone just crushes it, just knocks it out of the park. And I could watch it every week, man. It's one of those movies that I feel dirty, but I like it. It's in that same category as, you know, like A Clockwork Orange for me, where I'm just like, I know it's fucked, I know, but I'm fucked too, so it's okay. It's okay. And watching it last night for this, I was just like, what the fuck am I going to do with my awards? I don't know. I don't even know. Bernard Herrmann, rest in peace. He died in 1975 on Christmas Eve, like months before the film came out. It came out in February of 1976. Unbelievable unbelievable score. It provides kind of a you're kind of disarrayed the whole time. You're like, what the shit? There's harps playing. There's this weird, saxophone and different brass instruments. And what is all this? It's beautiful.
It's the soundtrack of insomnia. That's what it is. That's what insomnia sounds like.
Yeah. Worked for 12 straight hours, still can't sleep, and it's like, yeah, what do you think of?
I got a lot of cool shit to say about the soundtrack when we get to the awards.
Oh, dude, the soundtrack could be the strongest piece of the film. I could listen to that. I do listen to it all the time. I have playlists that I've had forever, and on Spotify, and Bernard Herrmann has always popped up on that because I'm just like, fuck, this is so cool. And how the soundtrack is just as fucking disillusioned as the movie. You can listen to the soundtrack on its own and watch the movie, and it's like they're both just brilliant pieces of art. So, God, I love Taxi Driver so much. I'm so happy to talk about it today.
Paul Schrader definitely knew that, and he put that in the card counter. That was one of the soundtrack of the card counter was one of my favorite aspects of it, because and actually the main Oscar Isaac character Bill reminded me a lot of kind of a lighter Travis Bickle, who's also disillusioned with society, doesn't know what he wants from life, and is doing the best he can. And the soundtrack reinforces that. It was very much like, yeah, you can tell this is the guy who made Taxi Driver or wrote Taxi Driver.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. And Paul Schrader, I'll be honest, like I didn't quite know who he was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And then First Reformed came out and rocked my fucking world. Pitting him with those tropes that he uses a lot with religion, that's right up my alley. It's right up Austin alley. And Ethan Hawke, come on, what more can you want from a movie when you're Austin Johnson? He also wrote Raging Fucking Bull, which neither of us have here on our top fives.
Yeah.
What the fuck, I mean, incredible stuff. Incredible. The Schrader Scorsese combo is quite possibly the most unique and strongest writer director combo that just meshes perfectly. Just makes so much sense. I love it.
I agree. And I just want to say, I don't have any beef with Raging Bull, but it is a great movie. I just have, more of a personal connection to a lot of his other films.
Same.
And that's really what it comes down to, picking Scorsese's best movies. Who the fuck am I to say what his best movies are? It's really just what I like the most and what Austin likes the most. That's the best we can do.
Yeah. Yeah. You're special when Paul Schrader, you're special when the first couple movies you work on are with Sidney Pollack and Martin Scorsese. So, not bad guys to work with in the mid 70s. Yeah.
He also wrote Last Temptation of Christ, which was quite a ride. That was just hearing, the disciples talk like New York Jews was fucking crazy. Just hearing, Judas be like, "Come on, Jesus, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. And then for Jesus to just be, talk like Schrader adapted the Bible language and turned it into, modern the way we talk now, which was great because I was thinking, oh fuck, here's another like Shakespeare type movie that I'm going to drag on for 3 hours. But no, because you got to hear, Jesus be like, "What? You never sinned? Come on." Like,
yeah,
I would watch that. I'd watch another 6 hours of that shit. Like, now I get it.
Yeah. And Schrader, part of the reason that I didn't know this until I looked it up afterwards, like movies like that Last Temptation, and First Reformed, I think those are very interesting to look at. Schrader growing up had like very, very strict parents, like extreme. He wasn't allowed to see a film until he was 18.
Like just a film in general?
Correct. Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. He had Calvinist parents who were like intense. And that fucking shows. That really fucking shows when you hold somebody down like that. it's either going to make them crumble or they're going to come out and make shit like this, make shit that's just going to last forever.
Yeah. Jesus.
He's a part of that what they call it, the movie brat generation, Spielberg, Scorsese, Coppola, George Lucas, Brian De Palma, all those cats. He's a part of that, but all those other guys grew up like movies were like in their fucking hand. Movies were there. Movies were always a part of their life from age 5 to forever. Schrader is the one guy who's like, I truly had to find this on my own. And I couldn't relate with that more than I do. Not because my parents were super, super strict but they didn't, the types of things they were showing me and my brothers weren't obviously things like Taxi Driver, weren't these American classics, Godfather, Goodfellas, all these movies we've been talking about.
Yeah.
I had to find this shit on my own as an adult, as a full on adult, age 18, 19, 20. And I'm still doing it now. I still feel like I've missed out on so many amazing things. And then I like Taxi Driver, I feel like is mine, and that's such a special connection to have. And I wouldn't know that if it wasn't for First Reformed, seeing him write and direct it and being like, whoa, this guy gets something that I understand. And that caused me to read about him and look stuff up about him. And I was like, oh shit, he's the guy who wrote Taxi Driver. Fuck me. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. His filmography is absolutely bonkers and wild. He's worked with some really cool people, and the card counter is definitely something I want to check out, man. Definitely keen on that. I'm also very keen on seeing Tiffany Haddish in a role like that.
She was interesting. I was more surprised by Ty Sheridan than anybody.
Yeah.
But overall, I'll talk more about this obviously on Monday's sneak preview.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt it was two really good ideas that were ill-advisedly combined and just didn't work. Like, you had a great gambling movie and you had a great revenge movie, and they just didn't mesh. And that's unfortunate. Also, barely any Willem Dafoe. I mean, if you're going to bring Willem Dafoe into your picture, fucking use him.
Yeah.
So I was kind of bummed out about that. I gave it a 7. I was hoping for more. Oscar Isaac and Tiffany Haddish and Ty Sheridan were fantastic. The gambling scenes, the card scenes, fuck me. Like, well done.
Yeah.
I love a good poker scene.
Me too. God damn it. I love card games. I love card games on film. Like, it's just perfect.
There's this guy who's in every game because Oscar Isaac is in an ongoing tournament in Atlantic City. And there's this Ukrainian dude called Mr. USA because he dresses up in a fucking American flag tank top. And every time he wins a hand, he and his like entourage go, USA, USA. And it's so obnoxious.
Oh, man. Beautiful. So good, man. This is a blast, man. I feel like we could just keep going and do top 10 Scorsese and just have this as the whole episode. But we got to get to our number ones. I think we know where you're headed.
Yeah, as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. It's Goodfellas. What else would it be? It's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a 10, solid 10. It's, along with The Departed, the film that introduced me to Martin Scorsese and to, I think, Robert De Niro. I hadn't seen Meet the Parents or Rocky and Bullwinkle or any of that shit. So this was it. And of course, I knew Joe Pesci from Home Alone, but I'm like, God, he can swear and he's really scary in this.
Yeah.
And I love that this is a true story. It's Henry Hill, one of the only mob guys to tell a full-blown confession and go into witness protection. And his story is bonkers. This is an actual inside look at how the mafia operates. It's insane. It's kind of become, I think at this point, I think it's surpassed The Godfather as the quintessential gangster film.
It's what it seems like. In culture, it definitely seems that way. You see posters of this movie in like family restaurants. Like, what? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's a fucking, Goodfellas pizza in San Antonio.
Yeah.
It's just become its own thing. And it's such a phenomenal movie. I think it's easily his best soundtrack. Scorsese's soundtrack, going from Tony Bennett to like fucking Sid Vicious. Like the giants, like just sprawling, decades long story that always is synced up to the right song. You've got Clapton, you've got like it's fucking Rolling Stones. It's beautiful. And the performances, my God, this is the only time where I've been like, Ray Liotta is killing it.
It's the only time for me. Yeah.
Like, what happened? This was a promising dude. Like, you're, going toe to toe with Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Paul Sorvino, Lorraine Bracco, who's amazing. And just, I don't know. I feel like I don't know what he did, but I think about that all the time. It's such a great film. I got to see this on the big screen a couple years ago. They were playing it on my fucking birthday. It was wonderful. I was like, happy birthday to me. I'm seeing Goodfellas.
Fucking A, dude. Perfect.
And yeah, I had an amazing time from beginning to end. This is one of the most incredible films of all time, the biggest Oscar snub in history, as far as I'm concerned. And a true, just, vision. I could not say more. I couldn't stop saying amazing things about this movie. I've loved this for years. Go home and get your fucking Shine box. Like, how do you not just get chills with that shit?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And then, that was fucking Frank Vincent, who then was in The Sopranos as Phil.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, it's beautiful. Goodfellas is one of those films I could put on and then, when it's over, start over and watch it again. It's phenomenal. An easy 10. If I could give it an 11, I fucking would. I love this movie to death. I know it's, typical. Oh, your number one's Goodfellas. What a shocker. Yeah, I am who I am. I fucking love this movie. I got nothing to prove.
Hell yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think people do sometimes get bored with greatness, People are like, oh yeah, they just keep doing it all the time. They keep winning. They keep doing this, you just get bored with it. Why? If something's great, fucking hold on to it because it doesn't come around very often. And Goodfellas is greatness. It is one of the 5 to 10 quintessential American films that you just gotta see. And if you listen to foreign directors talk about it, they're just like, holy fuck. Scorsese just nailed every scene. Every little thing is perfect in this movie. So yeah, no fucking arguments here.
Also, so when I was a kid, my dad was in a band called Invasion. He was the drummer, and they did a cover of "Jump Into the Fire," which is in Goodfellas. And when I was a kid, I didn't know what covers were. I thought my dad's band made these songs. And so when I watched Goodfellas, I'm like, my dad's song is in the movie. And later on, my mom and dad had explained to me, like, no, they just ripped it off. Yeah. I'm like, oh man. But damn. So that was always nice. I always have that memory. I watched Goodfellas pretty early on in my life. And
I'm trying. I can't remember the first time. I don't know. I've seen it so many times. I can't even remember the first time I watched all the way through. Probably in the middle of school. Probably.
I think I was 6th grade, maybe earlier. It's movies are, just part of who I am. There's some of them have just been around for so long I don't remember.
Yeah. It just runs with you. I remember vividly the people that I have been able to show it to. I remember those experiences like yesterday. I remember I used to live with some friends of mine, and one of us hadn't seen it, and the rest of us were like, what the fuck? And we like, that's what we did that day. We went and got some food and we drove right back home at like 1 p.m. And you're like, we're watching Goodfellas. That's what we're doing because you have to see this shit. It's one of those, man. It's one of those when you hear someone say, oh, I haven't seen that. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And you immediately change that for them. Yeah, no, I knew the whole time this was coming. I knew Goodfellas was your number one because I've heard you talk about it. I know what it means to you and I know what it means to cinema in general.
Yeah, it's a wild ride. And I do enjoy, because I've seen, my favorites are my favorites. I know what they are. So when I do find out that someone I know hasn't seen them, I do like acting on that. And it becomes, a vicarious thrill. You get to watch them watch the movie.
Exactly.
And I got to do that recently with my cousin Ryan. we did a creature feature double feature of The Fly and The Thing, which he'd never seen either of those films. So I got to see him watch those films for the first time and just seeing him be like, whoa, like at various moments and be like, fuck yeah, oh.
This is better than monster movies now. Hell yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. He was commenting, he's like, wow, those are great practical effects. And I'm like, yes, they are.
Yeah, because computers don't have shit on John Carpenter.
So that's a fun pastime for me. It's obviously I don't get to do that much in my family because they're the ones who showed me these
seen
movies.
Everything. Yeah.
But my cousins are getting to that age where they're starting to get like a little curious about these films, so I get to be the guy, which is nice.
Yeah, very cool. Both of those. Good God, I love both of those movies so much. What a awesome, double feature that will just make anybody's day better. All right, let's finish this thing off, and then we'll talk about some individuals within Taxi Driver. I think you know where I'm going. I'm really glad you got to see this movie this past week. It means a hell of a lot to me. And it's 1978's The Last Waltz. Another documentary popping up dealing with music. Scorsese seems to care about music just as much as movies, and I love that. The Last Waltz is, for those of you who don't know, wake the fuck up and watch it. It's a concert by the Canadian-American band, The Band, held on American Thanksgiving Day, 1976. That's November 25th. And it's at the Winterland Ballroom in San Francisco. And you have the band who just kicks so much ass. They're just fucking incredible. They just bring on artist after artist after artist. Eric Clapton, Neil Young, Dr. John, Joni Mitchell, Van Morrison, Ringo Starr, Muddy Waters, Bob fucking Dylan, Van Morrison. They do it, the staples, like they do it over and over and over. And you're just like, holy shit, Ronnie Hawkins at the beginning. So fucking cool. And it has a Scorsese touch. It's like, wait, what? You can watch concert, DVDs and whatnot, but The Last Waltz is an experience. It is its own experience where you get these little interviews with the band. And they're some of the most engaging and hilarious people that you'll come across. Robbie Robertson, incredible musician, incredible singer. Levon Helm is my guy. That's my guy. I love that guy. Rest in peace. He is one of the coolest drummers, drumming and singing at the same time, just perfectly. His raspy voice. I could watch this shit all day. I love The Last Waltz. It is one of my favorite things. This is for me. If I could give it an 11, I'd give it an 11. If I could give it 6 out of 5 stars, I would do that. I wish I could. I really wish I could. It means so much to me. And again, I'm going to bring up my man, Jacob Adame. When I was living in Kyle, Texas with him, he showed it to me. We were just kind of talking about stuff, talking about music, I remember we were talking about Muddy Waters, and I was just like, man, this guy's a fucking badass, And then we were talking about how, Muddy Waters and other black artists in America, those are the guys who started rock and roll, and the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin and the Beatles, those cats, they want to believe that they started something when really, no. They were behind. They were behind. And when he was like, dude, have you seen The Last Waltz? Like, Muddy Waters is awesome in it. And I was like, no, I don't even know what that is. And he's like, what? Like Martin Scorsese? And I was like, wait, what? Scorsese? What are you talking about? And then he showed it to me, and my eyes were glued to the screen. And then from there on out, anybody that would listen, I was like, please, you got to watch this with me. I showed it to my parents, tried to show it to my brothers, and they didn't have the same appreciation I did. So I was really frustrated. And then I realized, you know what? Fuck it. This is for me. This is mine. This is mine. These are the artists that I love the most. Bob Dylan and Neil Young. These are two of my favorite guys to ever live. I think the world of it. I think everything about it is fantastic. And I think Scorsese I know he saw a change in music that was coming in the 80s where he was like, no. This is not nearly as good as what's happening right now. And these guys are all about to pass the torch. Yeah. And he saw that coming. He saw that. And when the 80s come around, you get a lot more like synthesizers and a lot more computers involved, and you're not. I hate to be that guy, but it's just not as pure. It's just not nearly as pure as what was happening in the 60s and 70s in American music. And all these people contribute to that. And when they're on stage together, going from Joni Mitchell to Neil Young to Van Morrison, it's just like it's a hall of fame of performers and musicians. And if you haven't seen it, please treat yourself. I know you finally got to see it, and you've heard me talk about it many times, and I think you were waiting for the right time, and here we are.
Yeah, it was, I've only really recently started checking out more documentaries, and I knew this one was very important to you. And so I threw it on the Scorsese watch list, and I'm glad I did. It is a really fun kind of farewell to 70s folk music. And the amount of iconic musicians who come up there with the band, it really, I never really appreciated how respected these guys were. Yeah. To get that kind of talent. And I've lost my shit when Muddy Waters showed up.
Dude, because, Jesus.
And of all, to play Mannish Boy too. Yeah. Like, oh my God. I love that song to death. It's like one of the first diss tracks ever made. I love it. I might as well tell the story. So at the time in the 50s, Bo Diddley was coming up, and he did a blues song called I'm a Man.
Yeah.
Muddy Waters saw this as Bo Diddley creeping into his territory and was like, stay the fuck in your lane. And he made Mannish Boy about Bo Diddley. That's like, real men don't have to say that they're men, like that kind of thing. And it's become, one of my favorite songs just because of the story and how fucking beautiful and badass it is. And Muddy Waters playing that with the band was just exciting. I was glued as well. I totally get why this is your number one. I was expecting this. Yeah. Good choice.
Hell yeah, man. Let's recap real quick before we get into some Taxi Driver people. My number 5 is Wolf of Wall Street, 2013. No Direction Home, Bob Dylan, 2005. Goodfellas, 1990. Taxi Driver, 1976. And The Last Waltz, 1978.
Mine is number 5, Taxi Driver. Number 4, The King of Comedy. Number 3, Gangs of New York. Number 2, The Departed. Number 1, Goodfellas.
Beautiful. Wow, man, there's some movies that we left out that are just fantastic. That's just the way it is. That's the way it is when you're talking about a legend.
Yeah, we could go on. I really wanted to, I would have put Casino in there if I had more room. It's, I like Hugo. Like, it never ends with Scorsese, and he's still going. I'm excited to see what, his next film, which has been in production for quite a while now.
Yes.
Like his 4th or 5th passion project. I
feel like we've been getting casting news for the past 3 years about this person's in it. Oh, this person's in it. Yeah. Just crazy stuff.
How neat would it be if Brendan Fraser ends up with a Best Supporting Actor nomination?
I hope so.
Me too. I want him. I wish him all the wins in the world.
Yeah, same. It's really cool to see that he has a whole fandom, fan club that he didn't really know about. And it's like, dude, yeah, we've been here the whole time.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, Scorsese's still doing it, still rocking out, just incredible films. He got more nominations with The fucking Irishman 2 years ago, which was good, but should have been great, frankly, for a 4.5 hour gangster film, but whatever.
Oh man. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun, dude. I love doing the top 5s. You learn a lot about what you love and just get to kind of praise the things that kind of make you the fan you are. So, we're going to talk about Scorsese right away. Look at his nominations. That starts with Raging Bull. He was nominated for Best Director in 1980. Last Temptation of Christ. He was nominated in 1988 for Best Director. Goodfellas 1990. Screenplay nominee and Best Director nominee. Probably should have won both. The Age of Innocence 1993. Screenplay nomination. Gangs of New York 2002 director nomination. The Aviator 2004 directing nomination.
Forgot about the Aviator. Jesus.
I fucking know, where he like tackled huge stuff. Yeah. The Departed 2006 gets his big win for directing. Also won Best Picture, of course. Hugo gets a nomination for Best Motion Picture of the Year because he's a producer on it, director on it, all those things. And then also got a nomination for directing. Pretty incredible. Same thing with Wolf of Wall Street, motion picture and directing because he's a producer and director. And same thing again for The Irishman 2019. Best Motion Picture of the Year and Best Director. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff missing, but that is an impressive resume.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's phenomenal. And yeah, he should have. There's a lot of stuff that got left out, but also in that bunch, there should be more wins. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think the Goodfellas stuff, like you said, is arguably the biggest snipe. Just like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? You just missed an American classic because of Kevin Costner's Dances with Wolves? Like, really?
Yeah, what the fuck happened there? I mean, 1990 did not exactly have the most, the stiffest competition. I think Ghost is in there. Like, what happened? God, I think about that all the time.
Me too, man. Me too. Back to Paul Schrader. Mentioned how he has only one nomination for his whole career. And that's 2017's First Reformed, which didn't technically come out until 2018, so it competed at the 2019 Academy Awards. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Fair enough for all the other stuff, all the other movies, but Taxi Driver, I don't really get it. I don't really get how that wasn't up for screenplay. It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, it's one of those. Just I'm looking at the nominees, like what it would have been up against, and 3 of these films I've never fucking heard of, never went anywhere. Taxi Driver stands right up there with, Network and Rocky as some of the most iconic films of the 70s. So what happened here?
I don't know, because the 70s really are like the best decade for representation, and like, holy shit, these are good movies. And they just dropped the ball on that one.
Yep. Damn. So
frustrating as hell.
Paul Schrader, what are so he's only got the one nomination, but are there other films of his that you like adore or have seen that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy who wrote Raging Bull, and I think that's arguably the strongest point of that film, along with De Niro's just lights out performance. I think for screenplay, I'm not really sure. I think a lot of these are very niche, or very for a specific group of people, specific fans. I don't think he's trying to please everybody. I was able to watch Affliction. I really, really dug it. I was able to watch this past week late at night. But I would suggest for you, I think Light Sleeper is an interesting one. Kind of a crime drama thriller, all Paul Schrader's type shit. Willem Dafoe is really good in it. Susan Sarandon's awesome in it. I think you would dig that one a lot. That's probably one of the ones I would recommend. I think The Comfort of Strangers, which he directed, he didn't write. That is one of my favorite Christopher Walken performances of all time. But First Reformed is, to me, is the thing that I will remember him forever for. He wrote and directed it, and it's about stuff that I totally resonates with me. And he got Ethan Hawke's probably best performance of his career in that. So I could talk about First Reformed all day. I really want to do it on this show at some point. Yeah. It's just lights out movie. And you bought it from me the other day, so thank you.
Yes, I did. You're welcome. I didn't know Paul Schrader directed Autofocus. This is a film that's been on my radar.
I've seen that. Yeah. Same.
Yeah. The story of Bob Crane, based on a book by Robert Graysmith from Zodiac.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to have to prioritize that one. I want to see that.
Me too, man. And of course, people, if you can, go to the theater and check out the card counter. Yes. Movies are still coming out. Good stuff by people that mean a lot to cinema. Speaking of people that mean a lot, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro. This is not his first time being brought up. Of course, when we did the Awakenings episode, we talked a lot about him, what he means as far as the, greatest of all time conversation.
Yeah.
And he's right up there, I think. His first nomination ever. He got the win for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Godfather Part 2. He's nominated for Taxi Driver, Best Actor. Nominated for The Deer Hunter, Best Actor. Won for Raging Bull, Best Actor. Nominated for Awakenings, Best Actor. Nominated for Cape Fear. I fucking love Cape Fear so much.
Cape Fear.
God, hard. It was hard to leave that one in The Departed out of my top 5. That was 1991. He was nominated. Best Supporting Actor. My favorite part of this movie, Silver Linings Playbook, 2012. And then he was a producer on The Irishman, which was up for Best Picture, so he got a nomination there. Pretty impressive resume.
Oh my God. Yeah. And that's just the Oscars. De Niro
exactly.
One of the most important and pivotal figures in 20th century filmmaking. It's amazing. Yeah. An argument can be made for the GOAT. It really just, I always just think of fucking Rocky and Bullwinkle every time that conversation comes up. I can't, he does a fucking Taxi Driver parody in that movie.
Yeah.
Are you talking to me? Like that? He does that shit. And it pisses me off.
Incredible.
Like, Bobby, you're better than this. Why are you here?
Bobby D. Yeah. So good, man. De Niro is, when it comes to the Oscars, we talked about him on that big Yankee Doodle Dandy episode when we did the bracket.
Yeah.
And De Niro was on that. You know, he's one of the all-time guys when it comes to just movies, and definitely when it comes to the Oscars. He's a guy you just got to talk about, got to bring up. When you give a performance like you get a supporting win for Godfather Part 2 and you get a win for Raging Bull, just like, holy shit, dude, this is a guy in rare territory.
What in his Oscar nominations? Because I've seen all of them now, which is great. Of those films, what's one that you would like, you really want to do on this show?
Fuck. We got to talk about Awakenings. Raging Bull. I want to do Raging. I love boxing movies. It's one of the easiest sports to film and to make movies about. I love the decision to go black and white. I love De Niro doing a really physical performance.
Yeah.
Taxi Driver obviously has a lot of physical things going on. But I think Raging Bull is a whole. I mean, look at his face. Looks completely different than we've ever seen. And it would be really cool to tackle his best lead actor win. Be really cool.
That would be a blast. Yeah.
What about you?
Easily Cape Fear.
God, I love Cape Fear. Cape Fear could go on Filmgazm or Esther Sunday. Just a creepy ass fucking movie.
Because it's got those two nominations for De Niro and Juliette Lewis. I feel like it'd be fun to pick awards for Cape Fear.
Oh yeah, dude. Are you kidding me? Yeah. God, he's so good in it. You know, and what, like you said, De Niro, like my favorite stuff from him is like Jackie Brown. You know, the shit he's doing Jackie Brown. Oh, is she dead? No, I don't know. He's just smoking pot with Samuel Jackson and just every little thing. I love him in Meet the Parents. I love that comedic tone that he has. I have nipples. Can you milk me? Yeah, he's the man. De Niro is the man. He's done a lot of paycheck gigs the past like 15 years or so, but that does not take away from his greatness. You know, it can add to the argument where maybe Daniel Day-Lewis is like better because Daniel Day-Lewis always batted out of the park, but De Niro churned out way more stuff, way more.
That's true. And I feel like De Niro put himself out there a bit more. He experimented all the time. I mean, you know, he could do shit like Godfather 2 and Raging Bull, but then he's in fucking Brazil. Like, who is this guy? My all-time favorite. Yeah.
I love Brazil, 1985. Yeah, he's playing such a wacko. Yeah.
Like a resistance fighter / like cable repairman or whatever the hell that was supposed to be. And my all-time favorite performance of his is The Untouchables.
Oh, like, hell yeah. Great
fucking show. Capone. Yeah. I mean, who else could have that scene where he's, you know, Elliot Ness has been fucking up his shipments and he just gets all the guys together to have a discussion, starts talking about baseball, and, you know, a man is expected to have enthusiasms, and then he just beats the shit out of that guy. I mean, oh,
perfect.
That is one I want to do on this show so bad. The Untouchables. You got the win for Sean Connery. I think you got a score nomination there. Like, that would be so much fun.
Yeah, just a fucking wild ride kind of movie just to talk about. So yeah, I'm totally down to do that at some point. Hell yeah. There's some movies that right here I would love to do as well for Jodie Foster. I mean, she's gets one of the most famous wins of all time for Silence of the Lambs, 1991. She also won in 1988 for The Accused, and then she was nominated for Taxi Driver. Again, she is 12 years old when this movie was filmed and 14 when it came out. And she was also nominated for Best Actress in a Lead Role in 1994 for Nell, and has not seen the Academy since. Has seen the Golden Globes, but has not seen the Academy. But that run from 1988 to 1994, 2 wins and 1 other nomination is pretty special.
I fucking love Jodie Foster. She's one of my all-time favorite actresses. I've always had kind of a crush on her, which is kind of ironic. And Silence of the Lambs is a film I will love. I've always loved her performance. The character of Clarice Starling is one of the most important female characters in history, and just such a great hero for that movie.
Yeah.
The Accused, I've not yet seen because I know it's going to be fucked up and super disturbing, and I only want to put myself through that movie one time. So yeah. I'm going to hold off on that until it either comes up on the show or I need to do some prep or something. But I'm watching that movie one time.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, man. There's some that check it out, give it your full attention, and leave it. Yeah,
fuck, man. I've read up about that movie. God damn. But good on her for doing a film like that. And
yeah, straight up.
Yeah, 2 Oscars. That's fucking great. I think a lot of people forget she's got 2 Oscars.
Yeah, two is very tough to get. It's very hard to reach that place of getting multiple wins. And she could, hypothetically, she could get that 3rd win to, be with Frances McDormand and Meryl Streep and Katharine Hepburn. That could happen.
I feel like if it's going to happen, it's going to be for directing, because she's been doing that a lot more lately. But I mean, I thought the Mauritanian was going to make some Oscar attention, after it stormed at the Globe. She won the Globe for that.
Yeah. I haven't seen that. I would have seen it had it made more noise, but it seemed like a movie that was respected by one ceremony and organization. The other one was like, fuck it. And same. That happens a lot.
I fucking loved her in Carnage. I adore that movie. It's one of the funniest, weirdest movies. She's great in that. You ever seen Maverick?
I have not. I've heard great things.
That's a fun movie. It's, Mel Gibson as a card shark con man and Jodie Foster as like the con woman who's trying to con the con man. And then James Garner's there. It's a fucking crazy movie. It's fun.
Hell yeah. I love it. What do you know about Mr. Albert Brooks, Oscar nominee for Broadcast News, 1987?
Albert Brooks.
I mean, I know him as Marlon, but
yeah. Greatest movie father ever. Like the lengths he went to. My God.
Aside from Goofy, I agree.
Goofy, yeah. So Albert Brooks, I wish I was more well versed with him. I fucking loved him in Drive. He was an evil son of a bitch in Drive. But there's this movie I watched that he did called Defending Your Life. Which, have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
It is such a cool idea. He is killed in the first 2 minutes of the movie, and he goes to kind of a purgatory where his soul is weighed on his achievements. Like, are you good enough to go to heaven, or are you just going to go back to Earth and try it again? And while in this way station area, Rip Torn is his like guardian angel who's trying to prep him for the interview. He meets Meryl Streep and falls in love with her. And over the course of in this way station, he starts to realize my life had no meaning, but now it does. It's a very touching film and really funny. And that's always what I've kind of known. That's what I think about when I think of Albert Brooks, is that film, Defending Your Life.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's a cool personal thing, that you're just like, hey, this is my guy. He's fucking great in Taxi Driver. Fucking great.
He's such a 70s soft boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's total softy. Yeah.
Such a fucking Democrat right there. Just perfect. Oh boy.
Oh,
I was surprised
man.
Travis didn't kill him. The first time I saw this, I was expecting
Yeah.
that to happen.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the first 45 minutes or so. You're like, oh, that guy's gonna die. That guy's gonna lose his life for sure.
One of my favorite Albert Brooks bits is in Twilight Zone, the movie.
Okay. Okay.
That is, have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
It sounds like it would suck, but it is so good. It's got that super dark John Landis situation hanging over it.
Uh-huh.
But apart from that, the film opens with Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks driving on the highway in the middle of the night in pitch black darkness, talking about show tunes. And they bring up the Twilight Zone. They start talking about Twilight Zone episodes. And Dan Aykroyd turns to Albert Brooks and is like, hey, you want to see something really scary? And Albert Brooks is like, all right, sure. It's like, all right, pull over. He's like, what? Yeah, just pull over. Trust me. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but holy fuck, is it terrifying. It's one of the out of the blue scariest movie moments ever and sets this thing up. It's so good. It's John Landis, George Miller, Steven Spielberg, and I don't remember the fourth guy. I'll find it real quick right here. Joe Dante.
Okay. Nice.
They do 4 segments. 3 of them are original, and then the fourth one is the Terror, or was it Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, the classic episode with the gremlin on the wing. And it's fucking terrifying. It's such a good movie. It got just thrown to the wolves because of the John Landis situation, but the rest of the movie is so good that it really deserves to be kind of reclaimed.
Yeah.
And I want to do it on Filmgazm so bad. I'm gonna prep that because I think it's time. But definitely a great watch and a great Albert Brooks heat check moment.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love that. With these random actors, and the next guy we're going to talk about, I know we both have, things that are personal to us and that we connect on. These guys, these character actors that they just kind of grab your heart with random things, from Drive to, you're calling out something I've never even seen before, to Finding Nemo. I love that. I love that specifically about character actors.
Yeah, absolutely. They're my favorite part of movie making. These guys who just never got the spotlight, but they don't fucking need it. They're doing their own thing. They've been doing it for decades, and we still love them. I love to be able to say, like, is that Albert Brooks? I love being able to do that.
Yeah. Albert. Yeah. When I was watching it, watching Taxi Driver, I'm like, that's fucking Marlon. And, Brianna's like, what? Like, yeah, there he is. It's fucking fun. This next guy, a little bit more well-known and a very big part of someone's filmography that we love a whole lot. That's Mr. Harvey Keitel.
Oof.
Nominated in 1991 for Best Supporting Actor for Bugsy, a movie we got to finally see not too long ago when we did Boys in the Hood.
Yes.
1991. His only nomination, and that just doesn't seem right to me. A year later, he plays Mr. White in Reservoir Dogs, and with Tarantino, the rest is history.
Damn, Reservoir
Dogs. You're gonna be okay. Oh man,
I love when he tells Mr. Blonde, he's like, "You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize."
Yeah, better wake up and apologize. Yeah. You don't tip. Yeah.
You see this?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm playing the world's smallest violin just for the waitress. God, what a prick.
What a movie.
Oh, I love that movie. Yeah, Harvey Keitel is one of the most underappreciated character actors, I think, because he's done such vile characters. His characters are so sick and twisted that people, I think, have thought he's sick and twisted, which I don't know, maybe. I don't know anything about the guy personally. But if you're going to be, you're going to play a pimp to a 12-year-old, you're probably, going to a bad place.
Yeah, probably. Sport is such a slimy motherfucker. Right from the first time you see him, you're like, yeah, that's the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, guy looks like fucking, Tommy Chong and Cheech Marin had a baby. And it's just, he just looks like the product of the 70s. Doesn't he just look like, yeah, this is the 70s right here.
70s New York. Yeah.
This is him.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
God, what a slime ball. And then, I got to see him in Who's That Knocking at My Door, where he's just a complete piece of shit. And then Mean Streets, where he's not the piece of shit, but still kind of an asshole. Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, where he was fucking scary. Like out of nowhere, just like, don't you fucking talk to me like that. Like, oh my God. Out of nowhere, from the nice guy at the bar to the monster who's going to murder this woman. And then, fucking Judas Iscariot, where he's just like, come on, Jesus, you got to try harder. Like, I'll never. And now he's one of Wes Anderson's guys.
Yeah. What the hell? How does that make any sense? It's really crazy, man. His career and his ability to just kind of like, he's got to be so much fun to work with. He's got to be, because he pops up over and over and he plays these sadistic, terrible characters. And then I bet on the set, he's just like, hey, what's up? You want to get some coffee? Yeah.
The stories this guy must have. I mean, he was there at the beginning of Scorsese's career, at the beginning of Quentin Tarantino's career. Like he's like, like the Powerpuff Girls, there's Sugar Spice and Everything Nice. And then there's Chemical X. That's Harvey Keitel. Like, yeah, you can make a great movie, but are you going to be successful? Maybe not. You need Harvey. He's the wolf. He solves problems.
Yeah. God, talk about his shit in Pulp Fiction. I mean, hilarious, and he's spraying him down and just talking shit to him, they just
pretty cool. Harvey sugar on top. Clean the fucking
I love Harvey Keitel. Had to bring him up. 3 more people before we get to the 49th Academy Awards, then our awards. We got Bernard Herrmann, quite possibly the biggest star outside of De Niro in Taxi Driver. Composer who just kicks so much ass. Passed away in 1975. Gets 2 posthumous nominations for Obsession and Taxi Driver, 1976. He was nominated for Anna and the King of Siam, 1946.
Siam.
Crazy Jump, Siam. Yeah, we did this last time, didn't we? Because we just talked about him not that long ago. I can't remember. How did that come up? We talked about him. 1946. We looked at the composers because we were talking about Best Years of Our Lives. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's.
He won for All That Money Can Buy, 1941, and was also nominated in 1941 for a little film called Citizen Kane.
Fuck me, man. Like, this guy's career is beautiful. I think it's criminal he wasn't up for Psycho. I mean, if any film is like 90% soundtrack, it's fucking Psycho.
How do you do Citizen Kane, Psycho, and Taxi Driver? Like, how are you attached to those 3 movies? Like,
all monumental game changers.
Yeah, monumental game changers directed by different monumental people. Like, what the fuck? It's crazy. And it's 41 to 60 to 76. Like, from the time he was 30 to the time he died, he's working on huge films.
Not just working on, but outshining the rest of the movie in a lot of cases, which is really amazing. And, Taxi Driver's soundtrack, it's got a noir feel to it.
Exactly.
I can picture, Humphrey Bogart, just talking in his office to this music.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I think that comes from him, working in the 40s, working in Hollywood in the 40s. And, kind of absorbing that and then bringing that into the 70s. It's really cool. He brings this old Hollywood flavor to Taxi Driver.
Yeah, he clearly has an understanding that is just rare to come by.
Yeah.
And pairing that with someone like Scorsese and Taxi Driver, where these guys just understand what's happening in movie making, it just makes sense that it would come up with Taxi Driver. Just makes sense.
Yes, it does. Oh, beautiful. I'm looking something. I just read something about him. I want to confirm before I bring it up. It says on his, it says he composed the music to The Twilight Zone.
There you go. That makes sense to me.
I did he? It says like 69 episodes. Did he come up with the? Okay, he didn't compose it. but he did the original theme for the first season. But
Jesus,
the theme that replaced it became, the do 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 do,
yeah,
like
the famous one. Yeah,
that's kind of awesome.
That's really cool. That doesn't surprise me one bit. And that's cool. That's when you know you're special. Yeah. Good God.
Yeah, that's
great. Man. Next guy, cinematographer. I love bringing up these guys. Michael Chapman, the cinematographer in Taxi Driver, not nominated, but he was nominated for Raging Bull 1980 and The Fugitive 1993. Sorry. That's a pretty cool one too.
Oh my God, he was the cinematographer for Evolution.
Oh,
he's the motherfucker who scared the hell out of my childhood.
He's responsible for you, yeah, for your shit. Oh God.
Oh, thanks, Mike. You fucked me for years.
Yeah, I'm still fucked. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Oh man, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. That's why we do this show, man, so we can find out about our movie fandom and why it is the way it is. Oh, that's Jesus.
Awesome. I love that he did The Fugitive. That movie keeps coming up. Like I watched that just for the hell of it a few weeks ago, and it keeps coming up on Filmgazm, on Sneak Preview. Like, it's been brought up so many times.
Maybe we should do it.
Maybe somebody's telling us, like, do The Fugitive.
Do The Fugitive. Yeah. That's awesome. Oh man. This next guy, you're gonna have fun with this. Dick Smith, works in the makeup department. Won for best makeup 1984, Amadeus, decent flick. Nominated in 1989 for Dad, and then won an honorary award in 2012. But if you look at his filmography, you'll see a little film called The Exorcist.
Oh my God.
And then you'll see Scanners. And you'll see, this guy can do Amadeus, and then he can do these wacky ass, creepy horror films. This is our kind of guy. He can work with the epic, period piece, film, and then do straight up, textbook horror.
Jesus, this guy, he did the first two Godfathers. He did Marathon Man, The Deer Hunter, fucking Death Becomes Her, Starman, Midnight Cowboy. My God. What an incredible career. That is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. This guy's IMDb page is pretty much basically gives me goosebumps. It's pretty chilling to see all these movies stacked next to each other and the difference in them and how important a lot of them are. Like, it's just really cool.
He did the House on Haunted Hill remake in 99.
99, yeah. Yeah, he passed away in 2014. He was 92 years old. Just a full fucking life. And anybody who's involved with The Exorcist and Amadeus is just is awesome in my book.
How is The Exorcist not up for makeup? I mean, the makeup in that film is iconic as hell.
Still looks perfect.
Good Lord. That's awesome. I love knowing these guys, the guys who did the nitty gritty work that made these films so fucking wonderful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. They mean just as much to what we see, the fans see, like, as the end product. They mean just as much as De Niro. They mean that much. The stars are the ones who get paid and all this and that, but the cinematographers, the production designers, the composers, the makeup artists, what we see and what we carry with us forever, that they just deserve credit. They deserve credit. They deserve to be spotlighted just as much as Schrader, Foster, De Niro, Albert Brooks, Harvey Keitel, any of those people. They deserve it. And I love doing that on this show because it provides a way for us to see, you can make those connections of, these guys work together a lot, or you make the connection of Dick Smith. I didn't know who this guy was until 5 minutes ago, and he's the guy who worked on Exorcist as the makeup guy, and Amadeus. Like, yeah, that's fantastic. And Midnight Cowboy, just really cool, really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for good. I'm glad you shouted him out.
Yeah, absolutely have to, man. It's my favorite thing to do on this show is just kind of go through these individuals and you just kind of learn, and we've had live moments where we're like, holy hell, like had no idea that this was the case or that this guy meant this much, or I'm gonna forget his name, of course. When we did the Awakenings episode, the production designer.
He worked on. He won for Batman.
Yeah, he worked on Batman 1989 and like was a big part of those films. That's gonna bother me that I can't remember his name, of course, when I need it. But we learned that he committed suicide, and is no longer with us. But the stuff he worked on means so much.
Anton First.
Yes, yeah. I did not want to say the first name without knowing didn't want to say the whole name without knowing it all. That was a really cool moment where we realized something that we just had no idea about, and that he worked on these movies that are so important to us as fans. These Batman movies. Like what? It's just cool to learn that stuff in basically live as we're doing this. We don't plan that shit out.
No,
that shit just happens.
I think it's really ironic that the show that takes the most work, that is so, watching the films that are so much like so influential, most of it's off the fucking cuff. I love that.
Yeah. It's you write down a name, you look at them, and that's when you learn. You just simply look at their IMDb, look at their info, look at the stuff that they contributed to, and it'll kind of blow your mind. You just take it from there.
Wonderful.
Awesome stuff, man. Let's move to the 49th Academy Awards, and then we'll finally get to our awards. There's only 4 here.
Yeah.
Just 4. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's okay. We'll start with Bernard Herrmann. We'll start with the score. Let's see. Also really cool, before we get to that, best foreign language film is won by an African movie from Ivory Coast. Black and white in color. I want to see that a lot because it's very rare that an African movie breaks into that category. Pretty cool. Let's see. Best original score. Here we are. I'm actually okay with this. Voyage of the Damned, Lalo Schifrin, Taxi Driver, Bernard Herrmann, Obsession, Bernard Herrmann, The Outlaw, Josie Wales, Jerry Fielding, and the winner, The Omen, Jerry Goldsmith, who says horror films don't do well at the Oscars.
If anyone was going to beat Taxi Driver, I'm glad it was Jerry Goldsmith for The Omen.
Me too. I love this movie. I kind of forgot that this was the case. I knew that it got that win. It's like one of the only big horror wins in this category, and fucking A, that movie kicks ass.
That's great. That, fucking haunting, ethereal devil music won best score at the Oscars.
The 70s, man. The 70s.
I mean, I wish it had taken song too, because Ave Satani, fucking Hail Satan, could have won best song at the Oscars too. I love that. The Omen made a splash, and that makes me happy.
Totally badass. Yeah, totally. I love that shit so much. God, that movie would be so cool to do on here. to give awards out to The Omen would be, I already know where some of mine would go. That movie kicks so much ass. Best supporting actress, really cool group. We have Piper Laurie for Carrie, fucking awesome movie. Lee Grant for Voyage of the Damned, I gotta see that. Jodie Foster for Taxi Driver, Jane Alexander for All the President's Men, just a lights out movie. And then Beatrice Straight for Network. Network does pretty damn good here in the acting categories. Gets 3 out of 4, and had a nomination in every performance category. So really cool. Network is something else, an experience all on its own.
Yeah, Network's a blast. However, I don't think Beatrice Straight should have won this. She's in the movie for maybe 5 minutes. She has one scene.
It's a heat check. Yeah.
It's good.
My vote goes to Jane Alexander.
I still haven't seen All the President's Men. I gotta watch that.
Oh man,
it's the only one from this group. Bound for Glory. I haven't seen that one either, so maybe not.
That's the only one I haven't seen. Yeah.
My vote goes to Piper Laurie.
Okay. No, that's totally fair. Carrie is Jesus Christ. For Carrie and The Omen to show up at this show, just hell yeah. Thank you.
Oh, it's fantastic. But I love, Piper Laurie thought they were making a comedy. Her performance is so over the top, but she thought this was funny. And Brian De Palma had to tell her, like, no, this is a pretty serious horror film. But Margaret White is such a psycho, such a scary character, because those moms exist. Those moms are real. This is a real fear. And her just over, her dominance of Sissy Spacek is the scariest thing about that film. And I think it would have been really cool for horror if Piper Laurie walked away with an Oscar for Carrie or Sissy Spacek.
Yeah, I totally agree. That best actress is Liv Ullmann, Sissy Spacek, Talia Shire, Marie Christine Baralt, and Faye Dunaway won for Network. Awesome group. And Sissy Spacek gives, you could say it's the most iconic female horror role because of the way that it breaks into this kind of stuff. I think like Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis has an argument there, but like Sissy Spacek is right here. and she continues to show up in the Oscars later on in her career for shit like In the Bedroom, Sissy Spacek is like an actress's actress. And that's very rare for that to just break that kind of a barrier. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. And it also kind of showcases just how experimental the 70s was with film, that horror movies can actually have a chance here is fucking great. I love it.
Yeah.
Jodie Foster, what do you think in terms of performance? Was she, like, you think she deserves this nomination? You think that she stands alongside these women?
I do, but that's without seeing, like take 2015, 2016, whatever, one of the more recent years. I'm always going to have those ones that are dear to my heart. And I'm like, why weren't they at the Oscars? Why didn't they get nominated? With with these older decades, it's hard to have all that context of, I've seen 40, 50 movies from this year. Therefore, I have a lot of female performances that I would put over it. I don't really have that in my bag. I don't really have that. With that being said, I do think she does a damn good job for being 12 years old and just kind of going toe to toe with De Niro is insane. And then you think about the content within the film Taxi Driver. How did that not just ruin her? How did it not just steer her career? Like, I don't ever want to act again. In fact, she got better, and then she goes on 15 years later to be in one of the most iconic horror movies of all time and the only one to win Best Picture. So it's just, it shows the passion that she had for this at a young age. Like, no, I want to do this. I want to be a part of this world.
I love that. I would argue Billy Whitelaw in The Omen should be here.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. The Omen should be in every category.
Mrs. Baylock is one of the scariest characters ever in horror. Just, the nanny who's secretly, a disciple of Satan who's there to make sure shit goes the right way. And just the moment where she reveals herself to Mrs. Thorne and the music swells, I get fucking chills in my bones every time.
Perfection.
Oh, beautiful. I might watch that tonight. Now that I'm done with Scorsese, I've got free time. All right. Best actor. This is an interesting bunch.
Yeah. Absolutely loaded with all kinds of guys and completely different careers these people have had. We have Sylvester Stallone for Rocky, William Holden for Network, Giancarlo Gianni for Seven Beauties, Robert De Niro for Taxi Driver, and the winner, Peter Finch, in a crazy performance in Network as Howard Beale. I don't know. I mean, I think this is between De Niro and Peter Finch. I have not seen Seven Beauties, but good Lord, Network, Patty Chayefsky screenplay, and just completely, and Sidney Lumet at direct and the director's chair, just bonkers. It's just a bonkers collection of talent of people coming together. I'm okay with Peter Finch winning this, but De Niro also has an argument.
I do want to point out is Giancarlo Giannini.
Giannini.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Giannini. I want to see Seven Beauties. That's one that pops up here and there. And it's one of the few ones I haven't seen that shows up a lot at this ceremony.
You may remember him as James Bond's friend Mathis in Casino Royale.
Oh, there you go. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I'm looking at pictures of him now and I definitely know who this guy is.
Or the guy who got his bowels ripped open by Hannibal Lecter in Hannibal.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, that's actually probably more what I know him for. Yeah. getting annihilated by Anthony Hopkins. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to get sidetracked. I fucking love Hannibal. All right, focus. Good. Yeah, Peter Finch in Network. Very strong performance. Just, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. How do you not root for that guy? Him and Travis Bickle. God, what a 60 minutes interview that would be.
And then Rocky.
I really like Stallone as Rocky, though. Like,
me too.
But I would have given him the screenplay win. I think he deserved that.
Okay. I like that.
And then I thought he should have won for Creed as well. I like Stallone. He's got his own issues, but I like him as a filmmaker. Oh, this is De Niro versus Peter Finch. And then, William Holden, the Network as well. I think Robert Duvall should be here.
Yep.
For Network. Yeah, I'm going to give it to Peter Finch. I love, Travis is such a great performance, but, it was posthumous with Peter Finch. I mean, hell of a last hurrah. And yeah, Howard Beale is such a underdog that you're rooting for. You're like, yeah, lose your shit. Like, tell the system off. Do you, man?
Yeah. Network. If you haven't seen Network, just do yourself a favor. Have a ball. Have a ball with a movie that's got a lot of legends working inside of it, and it really shows here. This is a perfect example of the 70s Oscars just nailing it. They recognize Network's awesome. It's going to last forever. It's a crazy ride. Let's give them a shit ton of nominations and wins because it deserves it. It's a great film. But, you do have, a dual best actor, William Holden, Peter Finch. You got Rocky in there. You got Robert De Niro. We got to see Seven Beauty so we can round that out.
Yeah. And I personally really like Giancarlo Giannini, and not just because I love saying his name. I love the whole Mathis arc in Casino Royale and Quantum is so interesting because he's like, it's the one time where Bond was wrong and totally fucked over an innocent man. And really never really apologizes for it. He's just like, well, what does he do? He throws him in the garbage and takes his wallet.
Yeah.
He would have wanted Daniel. He would have wanted it this way.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Probably not, bud. Yeah. So good. I love that. God, Casino Royale is just a fucking lights out movie. That's 2006. That could rival The Departed. If the Oscars knew what the fuck they were doing, that could rival The Departed. Let's not get sidetracked though. Last category before we do our awards. Best Picture. Awesome group. We have Taxi Driver, Network, Bound for Glory, All the President's Men, and the winner, Rocky. I have not seen Bound for Glory, but my vote goes to Taxi Driver here. Rocky is great. It's an American classic and will inspire you more than these other films. These other films will just make you fucking cynical and sad.
You're getting inspired by Taxi Driver, you need therapy.
Yeah. And if you're getting inspired by Network, that's not really what's going on. And All the President's Men is just like, classic 70s kind of conspiracy. It's about the Watergate scandal, and it's like, paranoia. The 70s were the king of that. So, but Rocky is like, holy shit, I want to get up and go run a mile. It really does make you just feel good, and you have some hope. And these other movies don't give you a lot of hope.
I will 100% stand behind Rocky. I think this is one of the most deserved Best Picture wins in history. I love Rocky to death. It's a fun, inspirational, underdog. I got to do what I got to do kind of movie. And it's so great to see Stallone become a star because of this movie. This movie he wrote, with nothing. He had to sell his dog to get to make ends meet. And then as soon as he got his first check from Rocky, he went and bought his dog back, which I love.
Yeah.
He fucking was Rocky. Like, this was his story almost.
Exactly. Yeah.
And how do you just not love that? And the music and the fight and just, the first bit where he knocks Apollo down the first time and Apollo's like, the fuck was that? I'm in a fight. This is a fight now.
Yeah. Feels good. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. No, it is great. This is a great group. It's so rare that we've done some shit where like 1946, we were like, yeah, this You're gonna love All the President's Men.
I know
those 4 movies I have the utmost respect for. I could watch them. I could watch all of them. I want to own all of them. They're that good. And Bound for Glory, I've heard great things about. So I will be checking that out at some point. A Hal Ashby film. Yeah, I'm always down. And that's cool when you get that. When you get a good, solid Best Picture group where all 5 movies have something to offer. That's just. I hate that it's rare, but it is. And it's nice when it happens. And it seems to happen a lot in the 70s.
Yeah, the 70s, we've talked about that a lot. The best decade for Oscar Best Picture winners. They got it right almost every time.
Yeah. And even if they didn't get it, right for everybody, the one that they did give is good. Is totally worth your time. Kramer vs. Kramer, Deer Hunter, fucking Rocky, Annie Hall, One for the Cuckoo's Nest, Godfather, The Sting, Godfather again, like French Connection and Patton. Come on, like that wipes the 2010s and the 2000s and the 90s and 80s out of the fucking water. It just not even close. All those movies are solid. All movies I want to own. All movies that I want to keep watching, and that's so cool that the Oscars has that. And its resume is like, hey, at least we did right in the 70s. We may fuck it up now, but we did do something good at one point. And yeah, I love this ceremony. It's just filled with really cool shit. I got to see Ingmar Bergman's Face to Face. He was nominated for Best Director. And then Seven Beauties is the other one that's on my list for sure. I'm
definitely going to prioritize All the President's Men. I own that.
Yeah,
I bought it because I know,
dude. Yeah.
As a 70s movie fan, as a history buff, what the fuck am I doing? Why haven't I watched that yet?
Well, it's Redford and Hoffman. Like what?
And Robards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Jason Robards. What more could you want? Yeah. It's so good. I love it to death, man. Yeah, really cool. I knew this was gonna be fun to look at this ceremony because it's just legit movies.
Hell yeah, man. I love going into the 70s. It's always a blast. There's always so much to unpack. It's my favorite decade to kind of play in with this show.
Me too. And, it's my favorite decade in cinema in general that I've been able to kind of like, okay, there's some amazing horror movies in this decade. There's some unbelievable dramas. There's really cool, like blaxploitation films. Just a cool era where people were like, fuck it. Let's just try stuff. Yeah. Let's just see what happens. And that's the era of my favorite stars to ever live in that era. Like Jack Nicholson, like he lives in that era. Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro. I love those people. Faye Dunaway. The list goes on with those kind of like A-list stars. They're just the best. Jenna Rollins, like A Woman Under the Influence. All the John Cassavetes stuff. I love all that shit. I love it so much.
Hell yeah, man. And I love that I'm constantly, there's still stuff I have to watch. There's still iconic shit.
Always.
To check out. I'll never be done. That's the cool thing about this whole journey. We'll never be done.
No, it will never end. And the Oscars will keep going. So we'll always have more added on every single year. It's beautiful. I love it so much. Some people might get scared by it. I say bring it on. I say bring that shit on. Let's bring on our awards, man, and get the hell out of here. This has been an absolute blast. Talking about Scorsese, talking about these, Paul Schrader and De Niro and fucking Network and Carrie and The Omen. I love it. I love it so much. But my favorite part of this show is always hearing what you took from Taxi Driver and getting to tell you what I took from it. So if you're still with us, thank you. If you haven't been here before, what we do on Oscar Sunday is we always finish off the show with our own awards for the main film. We have the Quentin Tarantino Award for Best Line or Quote. We have the Ennio Morricone Award for the Best Music Moment. Very difficult with Taxi Driver. We have the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for the Best Performance of the Movie. And then we have the Roger Deakins Award for the Best Scene of the movie. So take it away with your Tarantino.
First off, this has been one of my favorite episodes of this show.
Me too.
Yeah, this has been so much fun.
Yeah.
My Tarantino comes from an early monologue from Travis, where he's talking about like how lost he is. And he says the sentence, all my life needed was a sense of someplace to go.
Mm.
And I mean, could you define a person who's lost better than that? Just all you need is a sense of direction sometimes. And if Travis had that, maybe shit wouldn't have gone down the way it did, if it even went down at all.
Yep.
I just thought that was a great kind of sum up of his weird little journey in this film.
Yeah. Oh God. Some of the stuff he's saying, you know, the little bits of dialogue when he's just driving around is like,
he's just talking about the scum and the filth and the cunts and the just Jesus.
Yeah. Venal. Yeah. It's just bonkers. And if your ears are open and you're really trying to take it in and really trying to understand what's going on, it'll just fuck with you. It'll just take you for a ride, whip you around like a rag doll. And I love when a screenplay does that. And with De Niro's just kind of monotone, you know, his delivery in this movie is like, fuck, man, this guy's perfect. I love when he's doing the, you know, there will be no more things that go into my body that I don't need. From here on out, we have to be strong. You know? And he's like got the fucking skillet, the stovetop is on, and he's just fucking trying to build himself up to be, I don't even know what. It's so crazy.
Yeah. It reminded me so much of like you know the term an incel?
Yeah. Yes.
This is the guy. It's the guy who's a pathological liar who is never actually going to do anything, but is constantly acting like he's preparing for the apocalypse.
Yes.
That's Travis Bickle. He's a sad, lonely little man who thinks he's a warrior.
I'm God's lonely man. Yeah. Well, yeah. And then when Joker came out in 2019, people were just like, fucking incel. You know, like they were like, this is saying it's okay to just like be this way. You know, it's like, no.
That's the wrong message.
It's a fucking movie. You know, people had major issues with Joker, which I find funny when it's like, yeah, but you can praise Taxi Driver. Okay, cool.
Joker,
just because it's a quote unquote superhero movie, like, come on, get the fuck out of here. Joker is paying homage to those things. I don't love Joker or anything, but I think people who like hate that movie and then praise Taxi Driver on Letterboxd, I'm like, fuck you, you know, like, get the hell out of here.
I think it's just weird what people take away from some movies, like watching Joker and thinking like, what a hero taking on the establishment like that. And I'm like, no, he's a fucking nut who should not be idolized. He's a murderer. He's a psycho. Yeah. And so is Travis. Like, he's not a hero in any stretch of the imagination. None of these people are. These people are products of their environment.
Yes.
Unlike Frank Costello.
Yeah. Yeah. And that has obviously a ton to do with these kinds of characters that are confused and conflicted. No one properly loved them.
Yeah.
And that's just life for a lot of people. And it's interesting to watch that. To me, it's interesting to watch it. And what I realize with these movies is people just watch shit way differently. Yes. Everyone watches movies way differently. Great Tarantino, man. I mean, you couldn't go wrong with one of his little bits of weird ass dialogue where he's just a confused, you know, God's lonely little man.
It's a constant manifesto just going on in his head. And it's so twisted. The more times you watch this film, the more you kind of see through the bullshit. And yeah, well done, Paul Schrader. Seriously, this is a brilliant screenplay.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Tarantino I chose is from Peter Boyle. Wizard. Guy, I love Wizard. Love this character. His hair is fantastic. Peter Boyle has been nominated for, I think, 6 or 7 Emmys because of his role in Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh yeah,
for best supporting actor in a comedy series. Never got anything from the Oscars, but this performance is awesome. The little stuff he's saying in the diner, and then that famous scene when Travis seeks him out and they're talking outside of the diner, right next to one of their taxis. And my Tarantino, I chose a very small bit, and it's one that you pointed out earlier on in the episode. He says, "You get a job, you become the job." And if, yeah, that could just go by. That could just go by. Like a lot of things that are said in the movie, that could just happen and just kind of go over your head. But if you really think about the implications of what he's saying, he doesn't want to be in this conversation, Wizard. He's like, get this fucking nut out of my face. I'll do anything I have to get out of this situation. And how often does that happen to people in general? That's happened to me, where I'm talking to some guy who's like clearly on some kind of drug and is like, hey man, it just happened to me earlier tonight. This guy was kind of like trying to bother me outside my apartment. And I was like, okay, like I'm ready to go inside, like please stop. But I just bullshitted with him for a minute. I just bullshitted with him because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to be a fucking dick, and I didn't want to just push him to the side and make him feel like, fuck that guy. Why does no one want to talk to me? And that's all Wizard's trying to do. Wizard's like, I've been doing this for 17 years, man. I've been a cabbie for 17 years. And I don't have my own cab because I don't want to. And he's just bullshitting with fucking De Niro, with fucking Travis. Like, he doesn't know what else to do. That's how people react. When you get a loose cannon like Travis in your life that you have to deal with every day, you're going to do whatever you got to do to get around it. And when he says you get a job, you become the job, he doesn't realize how literally Travis is going to take that kind of stuff. And it's fucking genius, That's real life. The real life stuff that Paul Schrader puts in this screenplay when they go to see the porno together, Travis and Betsy. And Betsy's like, taking me to see this movie is just as exciting as you saying, let's fuck. That's a fucking real sentence. And that happens over and over where it's like, this isn't like cinematic. This is too raw, too real. And I love that. I love that part of the screenplay. It was super difficult to find because De Niro is going off. He's going off like, we should just fucking flush New York City down the toilet, the fucking trash, the scum. But there's little bits from other characters that are like almost trying to avoid his storm. And I love that. That is real. That is real because those people in our world, just like Joaquin Phoenix's character in Joker, those people were like, we don't quite want to hang out with. We don't know what to do with them, And there's people like that all over the place. Everywhere you go, there's people who don't feel quite accepted and don't know exactly what to do, haven't been properly loved. And it's like, well, I have my own life to live, so I got to keep moving,
Yeah.
I have people who do love me and people that I need to love. And it's like, fuck, I'm sorry you're in that spot, but it's real. That shit is real. I've been through so many conversations where I'm somewhere smoking a cigarette and a guy comes up to me and is like, do you have another one that I can borrow? I'm like, yeah, sure. Take it. And then they start talking to me and I'm like, oh, Jesus, fuck, like, what am I doing here? But you move your way around the conversation because you don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And that part of the movie, I love that scene. I love that scene between Wizard and Travis outside. New York just looks dark and gritty as fuck. Like just perfect stuff. Paul Schrader, man, hats off.
That's a great pick. That's a great analysis of that scene too. I've got one of those guys in some of my classes this semester, and I am doing everything in my power to avoid him. And I had to spin a fucking yarn on last week. I had to make up a story to avoid having to do something with this guy. Yeah. And now I've got to make good on that story on Monday. So I created a whole fucking scenario for myself just to avoid talking to one of these creeps.
Yeah.
And it's tough work sometimes, but you got to think like, do you really want this guy to have your phone number? Like,
exactly. Exactly. That's exactly my point, man. It's like, God, that's too real. That's way too real.
Yeah.
You get a job, you become the job. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't fucking know.
I love it. It's like, you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
like,
no, he won't.
You'll figure it out. No, he's going to fucking go murder people. Yeah. Like, God.
I do want to point out, this was 2 years after Young Frankenstein.
Yes. Peter Boyle. Yeah. 1974 classic. One of the best movies from that year, for sure.
Wonderful. Oh, yeah, that's great. I'm going to... Perfect. Music.
Yeah. Go, boy. The Ennio Morricone. I mean, we could call this thing the Bernard Herrmann if we wanted to.
Yes, we could. Mine's not very, heat check. It's just the way where it kind of brought me mentally. It's the opening credits. It's the music, that subtle saxophone that kind of represents, Travis's inability to sleep, the kind of the dark underbelly of New York City. And it brought me back to Chinatown.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
It made me think of Chinatown. The music was so similar, and it's a noir tone for a seedy fucking almost X-rated snuff film at times. Yeah. And I thought that was brilliant. And only Bernard Herrmann, who had the 30 plus years experience in the industry, could weave something that kind of emulates a timeless Hollywood feeling and put it into this movie. So yeah, that ongoing saxophone that kind of plays whenever Travis is a little confused, which is quite often. That's my Morricone.
Yeah, I chose the same thing. The which does sound a lot like the Chinatown main menu music. Yeah. I love how it pops up over and over throughout the score. Like the track, the 44 Magnum is a monster at one point, and you have like this harp, like what the fuck is that? And then out of nowhere it comes back, and you're like, fucking wake up, It's just crazy that keeps happening. Or there's times where there's just kind of a little snare, and you're like, it keeps coming back because he can't get that out of his head. He can't get those thoughts out of his head. It's just perfect.
The vibe, what I picked up this time was the saxophone is real Travis. The drums are dream Travis.
Yeah.
That's Travis, about to, go off and, fuck up the scum. But the saxophone is what he's really doing. That's Taxi Driver Travis.
Hell yeah. I love it, man. This is, do yourself a favor and just go on Spotify and look up Taxi Driver soundtrack, and it's all right there, and it'll just kind of blow your mind because the movie plays in your head as you listen to them. It's just perfect. God, I love it. PSH. I mean, come on.
Yeah, this is De Niro. Who else?
Yeah, it's got to be De Niro. Just for fun, who would be second place?
Probably Peter Boyle.
Yeah, I think it's either Peter Boyle or Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel is just like, whoa, what's happening here?
I just, honestly, I don't want to give Sport any credit. I fucking hate him so much.
Yeah, Sport is a piece of shit. God, the stuff he says is like, ugh. I mean, just the worst kind of guy. But that kind of honesty in a screenplay and in a movie is important. It's important to really know, like you were talking about, the underbelly of New York City. If you really want to get to know that gritty side, these are the kind of fuckers that run it.
Yeah. I found out, through this and then through an episode of Time Suck that little kids in the pimp game are referred to as pieces of chicken, which is, holy fuck, is that disturbing? And that's even that it happens so often. There's a fucking term is so fucking twisted. And
I can't deal with that.
70s New York City, man. There were no rules. Like, it was a lawless waste. It was fucking Mad Max out there. Yeah. And I would love to dig into the history of, like, how did that get cleaned up? I think it was Giuliani, but it had to have started a little bit before then.
Yeah. And that's a whole, conversation, right? Is that Giuliani was his own kind of, he is his own kind of piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like he's a rowdy motherfucker who was more about just this image of, and not really caring about the people that are in it.
Yeah. It wasn't that New York was going to be clean. It's that my New York is going to be clean.
Yeah.
So
God. Yeah. That guy. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. New York, no wonder it's gone through everything it's gone through. It's just when you have that sheer amount of people, just millions and millions and millions of people in one confined space, shit is gonna go down. Shit's gonna happen. You're not gonna have enough food for people, not gonna have enough housing for people. Kids are not gonna be able to fucking properly live. It's just a rowdy place, and has definitely come a long way, but it has a long way to go, just like any other major massive city in our in our world.
Have you been in New York City?
I have. I went when I was 15. 2010. Summer of 2010 is when I went. I actually got to see Scott Pilgrim vs. the World at a massive theater in Manhattan there.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And they were showing, I can't remember what it was. There was an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and the preview played, and everybody just started laughing. It was awesome.
That had to be The Last Airbender. That was 2010. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. You're right. Yeah, everybody just started laughing, and I was like, this is great. Why can't we do this at every theater? It's like, oh, we're in New York where everybody's kind of snobby about movies. Yeah.
I went there in 2016, and I saw X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh, hell yeah.
It cost me about $30.
Yeah.
And everyone talked the whole time. New York City, no one gives a fuck in New York City.
Just, this is what we're doing. Yeah. I had a blast. I got to go to Madison Square Garden to see, it was a Team USA versus France basketball game that I saw at MSG, and that place is just a goddamn dream, you know? It's gorgeous. It's like watching basketball there is like watching a play. It's like watching people on stage, just the lighting, the atmosphere, there's kind of the haziness of it.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. And I would love to go back. I won't go now because of COVID, you know, that place is just rampant with people everywhere, but I will go back one day. I would love to catch a Yankees game. I'd love to catch a Mets game at Citi Field. And I would love to go see more movies there and just kind of check some stuff out.
On my bucket list is I want to see Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden.
Oh,
that is
Christ.
One of my bucket list things. He does. I mean, I saw Billy Joel in San Antonio a few years ago, but a Billy Joel show in fucking Madison Square is something special. He has like special guests. He's brought out Brian Johnson and Bruce Springsteen and just like I gotta do that. I need to do that.
Yeah, one of my favorite live performances ever is the famous Led Zeppelin at MSG. Just unbelievable stuff. Like there's been some shows there that will live on forever. The Garden is so cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back to, but after all this shit has calmed down.
Yeah, for sure. You know, New York City has been a hotbed. You just got people everywhere, so it's just hard.
Ugh. At least people aren't just, you know, selling children on the streets and getting shot randomly with no investigation anymore. Yeah. That's for sure. It is a much different place than what we see in Taxi Driver, but there's those remnants. There's those remnants that will always be there, always a part of it. Oh yeah.
Whew. Deacons.
Here we go.
Best scene of the movie. What do you got?
I changed this a few times. There's some crazy moments in this film, and I had to go with just one that I was like, is this really happening right now? And it is when Martin Scorsese himself gets in Travis's cab and has him drive to his wife's apartment, or his wife's where she's staying, cheating on him, and he just kind of sits there in the back, mumbling to Travis the craziest shit. And Travis is like, you can tell Travis is a little bit like, this is weird. Like even he's like, this is not right.
Yeah, even Travis is like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
this guy's talking about shooting this lady in the face. Yeah,
just like, I'm gonna go. Like, you ever see what a 44 Magnum bullet does to a face? Blows it right off. You ever see what it does to a woman's pussy? Blows it right off. Like, just the craziest shit. He's like, you must think I'm kind of crazy right now, huh? Like, and his the way he talks, Scorsese is so fast that I just buy that this dude is like totally gonna do this shit. Like, he is just ramping himself. He's hyping himself up to do this, and Travis is just like, not my wife. Not my problem.
Yeah. I guess do what you got to do. Yeah.
And then immediately after, he goes to get a Magnum.
Yes.
It's such a great scene. And you wonder, like, what happened with that? Like, did he do it?
Yeah. No kidding. Makes you wonder, like, holy shit, what else is going on in this whack ass city? And then leading into that amazing scene where Travis is buying all those firearms.
God,
that scene is incredible. Look at that. What a gun. Look at that. What a gun. Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
I immediately thought of Breaking Bad, of Jim Beaver selling Walter a 38.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are salesmen, and they're trying to move a product here, but then I love afterwards the guy's like, you want any crack? Like,
grass,
uppers, downers, meth. Yeah. I got anything. Like, what do you want?
No, I don't do that stuff. Yeah, I'm just here to buy guns. Yeah.
Just a jack of all trades.
scene is crazy, and that guy is fantastic. Yeah, he just brings the heat. Breaking Bad has no problem paying homage to movies and TV shows over and over and over. And I love that about it. I love that sincerity that Gilligan has to the things he loves. It's really, really cool.
Beautiful. I love a good homage that doesn't, creep into ripoff. There's a fine line there, and doing it right is an art form.
Oh yeah, totally. I feel like I would fuck that up if I were a director. I would just fuck that up over and over. I'd be like, oh, I want to do this,
Yeah, I might go too far.
yeah, just like, dude, you just made the thing. Shit. No, it's I love that shit. That is not easy to do, and I think Breaking Bad does it over and over and over. I mean, it has no problem shouting out Tarantino like over and over, and does it really smoothly. I mean, with the names Jesse Pinkman and Walter White, Mr. Pink, Mr. White. I mean, he has no problem saying, "Hey, I love this shit. I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna pay homage." Great pick, man. That scene is bonkers, and when you find out that that's Scorsese, it's like, holy shit, that's the guy.
Well, he's hanging around the campaign office early on in the movie. You can see him in the background, like Hitchcocking himself.
Yes,
which is cool
and very cool.
His whole life, he's had such a signature look. You can always find him.
Kind of reminds me of what's his name? David Krumholtz. Is that his name?
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Yeah,
kind of has that kind of mousy like look to him, where he's just like, What? You think I'm fucking crazy? What do you think? What do you think right now? And Travis is just looking in the mirror like, Jesus, I'm the weirdo. Oh, I love it. I'm going textbook here. The finale. The finale is my Deacons. The shootout, the death, the blood, the killing of drug dealers and pimps. It's just bonkers. And the aftermath of him becoming a hero to the parents, and it's like, is that stuff even real? Did he die? Did he die while he was sitting on that couch? I don't know. I think maybe that last 5 minutes is all bullshit and is all dreaming and all like kind of an afterlife type thing. I don't know. People have interpreted the movie in 1,000 different ways, and that's what's beautiful about it.
Maybe he died and went to hell, and his hell is fucking New York City with all the scum.
Like, again, like, hey, you have to do that shit again. Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Did you catch that on one of the marquees? It says Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I did catch that. Yeah. That was
cool.
Awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah. One of our favorite horror films. Yeah. This movie kicks so much ass. It's awesome. I love every little thing about it. That particular scene at the end, the original cut, which just like apparently doesn't exist anymore, is like completely deteriorated, was a lot more gory. Like the blood was bright red, kind of like that Brian De Palma, like boom, like fucking in your face type stuff. And it had an X rating at one point, when it was not yet released in theaters, and they asked Scorsese to tone that shit down, tone the blood down, the blood you see on the wall, make that a more realistic type red, and not, like use ketchup and not fucking paint. And I think it ultimately helps the film because it got to have that R rating. It got to be seen by more people, more accessible, but it's still so gritty and so nasty. And again, you have a 12-year-old Jodie Foster playing this, really young prostitute who's seeing all this happen. And from what I've read and all the accounts, from these people who worked on the film, Jodie Foster says that, De Niro really helped her through that stuff. Really, really tried his best to say, this is just work. Sometimes this is what it takes to, make these things, and really trying to help her realize when you're trying to process that at a young age, hey, this stuff is made up, it's a fictional movie, and it's like, well, when you're telling a 12-year-old that, and they grow up and they see that, no, in fact, people are that crazy, and that Taxi Driver influenced people to do crazy things in real life, that's got to be really hard to process and swallow.
Did De Niro and Foster ever work together again?
I don't know. I'm sure at some point in their crazy filmographies, but not like something I know off the top of my head.
I'm gonna look that up for just my own reference. I was gonna say something about something. Oh yeah, in the original, Lost Cut, I wonder if it was a little less ambiguous regarding Travis's dream state, or if it may be more ambiguous. I wonder if Scorsese had to find like a middle ground to please himself and the studio.
I think that's ultimately what happened. Because Scorsese is like, I love the end product. I think it's perfect. Yeah. I think it worked out great. And that's fantastic to hear. That it didn't get ruined. Again, this is a movie with a budget of just $2 million. People took pay cuts. People were on board with this vision of Schrader and Scorsese making this rowdy 70s movie with a finale where, a lot's left up to interpretation. And that's a lot of the best movies of all time. That's what they do. They leave it up to you to figure out, to watch over and over and over and figure out for yourself what's really going on. Really cool.
Yeah, very cool. And also I looked up, I don't think they have worked together again.
That's crazy.
Can't seem to find any films that they were both in. That's quite a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, you think about, you just think about like how often these people work together, especially two people like that, or how often they're working in general. Yeah. And it's just amazing that things don't align again for De Niro and Foster. I don't know. I would hope that the way Foster talks about it now, and like the stuff she's admitted and confessed, I would hope that they still have like a relationship where they're like, hey, like we could talk about our experiences. That's really cool.
I don't think there's a beef. I think it's just their careers went different directions. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't think they ever were like, fuck you,
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah. I think De Niro, I mean, you look at his resume. The guy was playing all kinds of characters. I think in order to do that, you probably have to be a pretty fucking cool dude. You probably have to be when you're on set hanging out doing things, you probably got to be a pretty approachable guy because the shit you're playing is not approachable.
No.
I mean, he's completely off his rocker in a lot of these movies. Like Cape Fear, like, like fuck me, man. Like these characters that he plays, he's just able to conjure up all kinds of evil, and he's damn good at it.
Yes, he is. He trained as a cabbie, like in real life, for like majority of like 74 or 75, and he actually like took fares and shit. So if you were riding in a cab in New York City in 74 or 75, there's a decent chance your cabbie was Robert De Niro.
It's very possible. Travis Bickle, 26 years old.
Goddamn.
How clean's your driving record? Clean as my conscience. Oh man, what that was a blast, man. Talking about Taxi Driver, talking about Scorsese. It's 1976. What a special time, special era in American cinema specifically.
Yeah,
and I can't wait to come back.
Hell yeah. Taxi Driver's an 8 for me. Very good movie. Great kind of starting point officially for Scorsese and De Niro as like mega players in Hollywood.
Oh, and, yeah, we never talked about Mean Streets.
Oh yeah.
what a movie. There's that. I mean, I'm gonna leave you here at some point. I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, fucking Silence. I love Silence. All these different Scorsese movies, like, oh fuck, yeah, Jesus Christ, man, what a guy.
Yeah, his resume speaks for itself. Obviously, he's a guy, both of them, who are going to come back on this show so many times.
Yep.
Fantastic. I assume Taxi Driver is pretty high for you in terms of score.
10. Big fat 10. Yeah. Yeah, actually, Wolf of Wall Street's a 9. No Direction Home, I would give a 9. Goodfellas, 10. Taxi Driver, 10. Last Waltz, 10. So Scorsese has 3 10s in my book.
Taxi Driver, King of Comedy are 8s. Gangs and Departed are 9s. Goodfellas is a 10. That's the only 10 I've given Scorsese.
Totally fair, man. Totally fair. Maybe on a couple more watches of Taxi Driver, it'll bump up. Who knows?
Maybe. Departed's like right fucking there. It's just going to take the right mixture of like the time I watch it and what's going on at the time. And I'm going to be like, fuck, and just bump it up.
I tell you what, if you and I are ever together, we watch The Departed, we're both going to look at each other and be like, 10.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yep.
Sometimes when you watch something with the person who appreciates it as much as you, and you're just kind of smiling the whole time, you're like, holy fuck,
That's what happened with The Burbs. I was like, I liked that movie, and then we saw it and we couldn't stop laughing. And I'm like, I fucking love this movie now.
Yeah, it's a 9. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. When we saw Tommy Boy together in theaters, I was like, this is one of the funniest fucking movies of all time, Yep. I'm just on I'm on top of the world. Next week, we finally get to talk about Mr. Cage, Mr. Nicolas Cage. My man, Leaving Las Vegas, 1995. Was nominated 4 times. You got the best screenplay, Mike Figgis, best director, Mike Figgis, and then you have best actress in a lead role, Elizabeth Shue, and of course, Mr. Cage got his only win for 1995, Leaving Las Vegas, best actor in a lead role. He has a movie coming out next weekend, and it was like, fuck it, let's do Cage. It's time to do Cage. You've been doing a lot of your own kind of research on him, watching his movies.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's time because you haven't seen Leaving Las Vegas, and it's one of my favorite spiraling out of control, drunken, just what the fuck is going on movies, and it's Cage at the center. It's Cage 8 years after Raising Arizona, 7 years before Adaptation, my like favorite movies of his, and the guy just is making decisions that I love right now. Mandy, Pig, Color Out of Space, Willy's Wonderland. Like, fuck yeah, he's fucking back, and it feels like it's time. It feels like it's time to tackle Cage, his lone win, his lone nomination. I cannot wait.
Well, it wasn't his lone nomination. He was up for Adaptation.
Oh yeah, 2002, of course. Why? How could I forget my probably my favorite role of his of all time?
But he did win, and I think people who've lost respect for Cage after he became a lot less choosy forget that he's an Academy Award-winning actor who once commanded respect, and I think he continues to command respect. And I'm excited to defend him on Oscar Sunday. We did a bit on Sneak Preview when Caleb and I covered Pig. And that's what drew me back into just watching as much Cage as I could find. And I'm going to keep doing that. I'm hoping to watch. I've never seen Adaptation either. I'm hoping to watch that as well prior to the next week. And I cannot wait. This is going to be so great. I heard the movie's a fucking downer, but I'm excited to watch it anyway.
For sure. Yeah, it is sad as hell. Yeah.
Tomorrow on Sneak Preview, obviously, we're going to talk about the card counter, but our main film is James Wan's *Malignant*, which I'm planning on watching. Actually, by the time this is out, I will have watched it. I hope it was good. I've heard crazy shit, so looking forward to that. And then on Wednesday's Filmgazm, we're doing a book pick, Last Shift from 2014. Weird, kind of oddball, low-budget ghost movie that isn't too bad. Hopefully better on a second watch.
Hell yeah.
This is the best. Thanks for listening. I hope you had as much fun as we did, and we will see you next week.